What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 8SK Chapter 176 The Fruit of the Whip, The Happy Khalifa. Oh, devil fruit? It's not just Robin, Nami, Violet and the others. Khalifa, Perona and other women who were training nearby were all surprised. They all came over curiously and looked at the devil fruit that the ghost engineer brought up. Tisk tisk, you're really fast, after taking the devil fruit. Robin smiled and was a little moved. She obviously expected this situation. After all, once the scale of the Black Shadow Corps expands, with their strange ability to lurk and travel in the shadow world at will, it can be said that it is omnipresent and hard to guard against. Whether it is used to collect intelligence, kidnap and assassinate, or for exploration and treasure hunting, the efficiency is definitely beyond imagination. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be Paramisha Whip Fruit, Robin, who had already memorized the devil fruit illustration, said with a smile. Whip fruit? Is there such a fruit ability? After hearing Robin's introduction, Nami, Nokigo, Perona and others were all stunned. Don't underestimate such abilities. Weighing the whip fruit, Robin introduced directly. According to the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, people who eat the whip fruit can not only turn the weapons they touch into whips, but also manipulate them as they please. It can also whip everything, whether it is a living thing or non-living thing, and make those targets driven by it and obey orders. And the people who are whipped will become like slaves and cannot resist. Paused. Pointing to the gorgeous central castle, he added with a smile. Even a large building like the central castle can make it work like a living animal, like a cow and a horse, and start moving under the whip. Hearing this, Nami, Nokigo, Khalifa and others were all dumbfounded, looking at the cucumber-shaped devil fruit in Robin's hand with disbelief. Whip fruit? In the shadow of the ground, a black figure emerged from there. Half of his body appeared there, transformed into William's appearance. Then give it to Khalifa, she happens to be good at using whips. Anyway, he didn't expect Khalifa's qualifications to become such a powerful fighting force. This kind of auxiliary ability is very suitable for her. William, are you really going to give it to me? Khalifa was full of surprise, then she was a little surprised. Listening to Robin's introduction, she also felt that this ability was very powerful and matched her very well. Advertisement after all, she herself is a person who is good at using whips as weapons. It's just a devil fruit, why not give it up? William's figure disappeared in the shadows. Although the whip fruit is not bad, it is not worth his attention. But compared to the bubble fruit, this fruit is obviously more suitable for Khalifa. Of course, what makes William more satisfied is the efficiency of the Black Shadow Corps. This is the first devil fruit they found, but it will definitely not be the last one. Khalifa is really suitable for it, Robin smiled slightly. The whip fruit was delivered to Khalifa. As for Nami, Nokigo, Perona and other women, they were already capable people, and their abilities were not inferior to the whip fruit, or even better. Naturally, they would not be envious, jealous or hateful. Then I will not be polite, took the devil fruit. Khalifa was full of joy, not long after resisting nausea. After peeling the whip fruit and eating it, Khalifa seemed to have a sudden inspiration and grabbed the black long whip with barbs that she often used. The sound of breaking through the air was whistling. The black long whip danced like a lion majesty with life consciousness. It penetrated the wooden stakes like lightning, controlled freely. Dig. She waved the long whip and flicked it lightly. Not too light or too heavy, the whip hit a wall. Come here. B. The next moment the ground rumbled. In the astonished eyes of Nami, Najigo, Perona and others. That wall, which was several meters high, 30 centimeters thick, and 10 meters long, seemed to be alive. It was moving towards them at a speed visible to the naked eye. BB. What's going on? Please give me flowers. That side is moving, am I dazzled? Advertisement? In the distance. Luo, Kid, Kaku, Uruj, Bluno, Bartolomeo and others who were training. All of them opened their mouths and eyes wide, staring blankly at the moving wall. Some were speechless. Full of disbelief. Is this your ability, Khalifa? After understanding the situation, Kaku looked at Khalifa in astonishment. Not bad, right? Khalifa raised her pretty face. She raised her whip with some pride. You're lucky, this ability suits you very well. Lucci looked at her deeply and said I think it's great too. Khalifa smiled. It's not just because of the whip fruit. The key is that she feels that although William has more and more women around him, this brother still cares about her as before. He has not been indifferent to her because of the changes in strength and status. Her heart is a little warm, full of joy, bang. On the number 2 training ground, a punch hit the alloy iron wall hard. A clear and shocking fist mark was left on it. William's training had just come to an end, and Khalifa, who had been looking forward to it at the training ground, ran over. She threw herself on him at once, completely ignoring his sweat. Thank you, William. As long as you like it, William smiled. He stroked Khalifa's pretty face. He still doted on this childhood sweetheart. From the beginning, he had no intention of letting her be an agent or perform any dangerous tasks. As for the whip fruit, for the current Hell Pirates, it can still be squandered directly. William. But the next moment, a warm feeling came over, making William stunned. Looking at the burning eyes hanging on him, he was almost melting and sent out a fighting letter. Can't wait to verify the power of the whip fruit? He smiled lightly. Naturally, he would not let the other party down, and gladly accepted the challenge. The black shadow surged, covering the training ground in the picture. Chapter 177 Daughter Island and Beast Island that afternoon. No surprises. In order to verify the ability of the whip fruit she just obtained, Khalifa did not hesitate to challenge William personally. After all, the result was not as good as William's perfect fusion of the 6 physical techniques and the self-created iron body whip technique. After only 3 or 4 rounds, he was helplessly defeated. Due to high-intensity training, physical energy has long been exhausted. Unwilling to give in, she gritted her teeth and tried to persevere until the end, draining her last strength. Unfortunately, he still couldn't complete the entire training task. He only had time to drink the nutritious milk tea specially prepared by William to fill his stomach, and then he fell asleep. Will it be possible to make it in time for dinner? It's really hard to say. BU, the highest level in the central castle. In a luxurious and spacious office. Wei, 103, Lien rarely continued training and came here. Lord William, I found the location of the Kamabaka Kingdom and discovered a group of weird transvestites. Lord William, I found the location of Alabasta and found traces of the sand crocodile. He just killed a group of pirates who broke into Alabasta and plundered it. He left with the looted treasure and was called a hero by the people of Alabasta. Lord William, I found the location of the Spring Queen's City. Naval Headquarters Colonel, Shipbreaker, T. Penn led his marines and arrested the waterweed pirates. Black shadows emerged from the shadows one after another, constantly reporting to William there. There are also ghost soldiers who specialize in secretarial work beside them, burying their heads in their desks and constantly recording. Classify and summarize this information and submit it to Robin sitting opposite for personal review. One arm after another received the news. Robin kept filing them away and was a little overwhelmed. She said to the helpless William, William, we are a little short of manpower. We need to recruit a few more people. Originally there was a Khalifa who helped me. As a result, William acted too randomly and made everyone faint. I've asked Karina to help find candidates. Advertisement. William nodded. Sir William, I discovered a small sky island called Visalia. It seems to be artificially made and can move in the sky. There is also a group of scientists who specialize in climate research on it. A ghost soldier who just emerged from the shadows replied, but those guys are all a group of gray-haired old men. Oh, even Robin became interested and curious. Does the Grand Line have a group of scientists specializing in climate research? William chuckled. Nami and Lafitte should be very interested in Sky Island like this. He already knew where it was. Brush, he chopped with his feet. A somewhat bloated black shadow emerged from the ground. Without hesitation, William directly ordered, Bej, take people to capture these weather scientists, as well as all the books, equipment, etc. on the Sky Island, and bring them back. Yes. The climate in New World is strange, unpredictable and very bad. A little surprised to see Robin, William smiled and said, it's not as gentle as the first half of the Grand Line. This place can only be regarded as a paradise, relatively speaking. With the current knowledge of navigation that Lafitte and Nami have mastered, it will be difficult for them to reach that sea area. Find them some qualified teachers first. And with these weather scientists here, our actions in New World can be more secure. Robin nodded suddenly. William has spent time at CP9, so it is not surprising that he knows something about this small sky island. But for the other party to pay so much attention to it, I believe that the level of those weather scientists must not be low. It is indeed good to let them be responsible for teaching Nami and Lafitte, who have just entered the first half of the Grand Line and whose sailing skills still need to be improved. Lord William, I found a very beautiful island, which is full of all kinds of tempting delicacies, and this island seems to be a big plant. At this time, a ghost soldier, emerging from the shadows. Report to William there. Oh, that should be the Boeing Islands? William raised his eyebrows and nodded. The island is a plant called the Baron of the Stomach. Advertisement, and there are many magical plants on this island, which should be very good for Nokagao, who has the ability to flourish fruits. If you get those seeds, you should be able to increase your combat power a lot. Then let Nuoki go over. Organizing and filing this information, Robin asked. Don't worry, let's wait until we take root in the New World and stabilize before letting New Okagao go there, William said with a smile. Sir William, I discovered Amazon Lily on the Daughter Island, in the Calm Belt. A shadow soldier who had just emerged reported. Girl Island? Robin was surprised. William chuckled. Amazon Lily? Ah, this is a man's dream place. Robin looked at William with half-smiling eyes. I heard that the most beautiful woman in the world, the Empress, Boa Hancock, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, is the emperor of this country. Indeed, but I have some connections with the Boa and Hancock sisters, so it's not easy to mess around. William shrugged and said with a smile. Furthermore, I heard that there is a beast island near Amazon Lily, and there are a large number of powerful and ferocious beasts on the island. 11. Yeah? Robin smiled. This man is so carefree. How could you not be moved when you heard about the whereabouts of Daughter's Island? Don't underestimate the beasts there. With your current strength, if you don't take into account the bonus of the fruit's ability, there are no less than 1,000 beasts that can defeat you. 0.8. Robin's teasing gaze. William couldn't help but roll his eyes and reminded helplessly. So exaggerated. Robin was surprised. She knew that William was probably not joking when he said this. The strongest ones, even zombie generals like Wang Lun and others, may not be able to compete with them. William shrugged. Just in time, I'm going to expand the size of the Beast Legion. Robin glanced at him and said with a smile. Then, take a trip to Amazon Lily? It would indeed be a good choice if we could recruit the Empress Boa Hancock. William didn't take it seriously either. He gently held Robin in his arms and said with a smile. Lube. Chapter 178. All-pervasive, shocked Hancock. When dusk. Located in the calm belt is the Amazon Lily Island. A crisp bell echoed continuously. Countless people in cities and towns across the country are passive. They immediately put down their work and rushed out of the city in an orderly manner. Everyone, get out of the city quickly. Lady Shiji is going to take a bath. No one can stay in the city. The curse of Gorgon is coming. A guard named Nine Snake Island is supervising there. At this time, their duty is not to allow anyone to stay in the city. Mom, isn't the palace far away? A girl leaves town with her mother. Pointing to the ancient palace built on the mountain, he raised his head and asked curiously, why can't we stay in the city every time Lord Snake takes a bath? Are you afraid that we will offend Lord Snake? No, the three sisters of Lord Snake Lady once went to the Central Sea to fight with the legendary monster Gorgon, and ended up being cursed by Gorgon. The Obasan touched the girl's head and said with a smile, once they accidentally expose their backs, if anyone comes close, they may be cursed and turned into stone. So that's it. 24. In a deserted corner, William emerged from the shadows and listened to the innocent remarks of these Amazon Lily people. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch, and he was speechless. In order to cover up the hooves of the Tianxiang dragon behind him, the three sisters Boa and Hancock really worked hard. Although I have heard about it for a long time, it is really unbelievable. On a mountain, William, who appeared here quietly, looked down at the entire Amazon Lily. Looking at the various female warriors, I was a little surprised. The entire country is made up of women, and even the children born will only be daughters. This is a female country founded by the Nine Snakes fighting nation. They were born and raised as warriors, shouldering all the family income and labor force. Even after becoming pregnant, they only gave birth to girls. Because Amazon Lily is located in the calm belt where South Blue and the first half of the Grand Line meet, there are a large number of large sea kings, so ordinary ships cannot approach it, which is a natural barrier. Unfortunately, this barrier has collapsed due to the technology developed by Dr. Vegapunk to embed seastone on the bottom of the warship, and the advantage has been lost. Seastone inlaid on the bottom of a warship, it can release energy like the ocean. Confuse those ferocious large sea kings to the greatest extent and avoid being attacked by them. Coupled with the boiler power installed on the warship, Marine has been able to freely enter and exit the calm belt, directly threatening Amazon Lily. The Empress, Boa Hancock, who was forced to hate the world government due to her unbearable experience, had to agree to Marine's invitation and join the 7 warlords of the sea in order to protect Daughter Island. Sister, the people in the city have been dispersed and the hot water has been prepared. Advertisement now. Inside the gorgeous palace, 2 sisters, Sandersonia and Marigold, walked in. Boa Hancock said to Boa Hancock, who was sitting on Samaro, whose snake body was directly coiled into a seat, you can take a bath. BB. The Empress nodded slightly. Get up and walk towards the direction of the bath. That's not necessarily the case. Woo. There was a chuckle. The expressions of the 3 sisters Boa Hancock, Sandersonia, and Marigold changed drastically. He looked warily towards the corner where the sound came from. Who? Boa Hancock's eyes were cold, revealing murderous intent. Don't be nervous, I'm not the enemy. In the shadows of no one. A dark shadow appeared there. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it turned into a human form. William looked at the 3 Gorgon sisters in front of him and said with a smile, long time no see. VR. Hell William. Looking at the tall young figure, the 3 Hancock sisters' pupils shrank sharply. Isn't this the great benefactor Obask William, who they often pay attention to these days, who once acted righteously in Saboti Archipelago and rescued 3 of their sisters who were at the end of their rope? It's really you. Hancock was surprised and delighted. If you are excited, you have to step forward directly. But then he thought of something, stopped his steps, and tried his best to stay calm. Somewhat reserved, his face returned to coldness. He looked at the young and handsome William in front of him, and asked in surprise. Wait, William, why are you here? It's a long story. The Black Shadow Corps under my command accidentally discovered the location of Amazon Lily. So I came directly to meet you, the legendary most beautiful woman in the world. William's eyes were full of smiles. He looked at the beautiful Boa Hancock and said with a smile, but maybe I should show up later. Hear the words. Hancock blushed. A little later, she would take a bath. However, it was obviously not that Hell William couldn't be late, but that he was unwilling to take advantage of others' danger. After all, the 3 of them had not discovered the existence of Hell William at all just now. For a time, he developed a lot of affection for William, his former great benefactor. Hancock is very aware of his own charm. Advertisement. The other party is obviously a gentleman. Mr. William, it is thanks to your life-saving grace that we are where we are today, Sandersonia said with gratitude, looking at the young and handsome face in front of them, which was familiar yet somewhat unfamiliar to them. Indeed, you are our great benefactor. Marigold on the side also put down her hostility and said happily, in the past few months, I have been paying attention to your news. My sister is still thinking about when I can see you again. Don't think too much, I just want to express my gratitude to you in person. The Empress' face turned red. He explained something like he was trying to hide the truth. Then he looked at William in front of him and asked curiously, but, which is the Black Shadow Corps you just mentioned? After I left the world government, I accidentally broke into Gekko Moria's territory and had a conflict with the 7 warlords of the sea. William gave a brief introduction. After killing him, I accidentally gained the ability of his shadow fruit. Is that so, shadow fruit? The 3 sisters were surprised. I didn't expect that William would have such an experience. Not only did he quietly kill Gekko Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and he also got the opponent's ability. As for the Black Shadow 473 Corps. These monsters are special life forms created by me by plundering other people's shadows. They can lurk and shuttle freely in the ubiquitous shadows, and are responsible for collecting intelligence. There were ghost soldiers just now who discovered the location of Amazon Lily, so I came here specially to find out the way. Speaking of which, William stamped his foot, in the shocked and incomprehensible eyes of the 3 Hancock sisters. One after another, hideous-looking, demon-like black shadows emerged. Then, it sank into the shadows again and disappeared. It's like it never happened. Hiss, he stared blankly at the completely inconspicuous and empty shadowed corner in front of him. The sisters Sandersonia and Marigold couldn't help but gasped. You can lurk and shuttle in the shadows everywhere. What an exaggerated ability is this? Moreover, these lurking shadow monsters cannot be easily discovered at all. Just thinking about it makes my head tingle. Can the ability of the shadow fruit be able to do such a thing? Looking at the ridiculously young William, Hancock was full of amazement. What a terrifying ability. It is conceivable that if the scale is exaggerated enough, isn't the whole world under William's surveillance? On this sea, as long as there are people living there, where is there no shadow? I was a little rude today, William said with a smile to the 3 Hancock sisters who were a little discolored in front of him. But please don't worry, I have no ill intentions towards Amazon Lily, and I will let the ghost soldiers under me surround them in the future. If you drive here, you won't offend 9 Snake Island again. Thank you then. Chapter 179 Healing Fruit? Excited Empress? Inside the antique palace, chatted with the 3 Hancock sisters for a while. Because of their interactions in the past, except for the Empress who was a little reserved, her 2 younger sisters were very enthusiastic. The atmosphere was not too awkward, and the few people quickly became familiar with each other. Okay, I just came here today to find a way. The goal of meeting Boa Hancock has been achieved. William did not stay any longer and prepared to leave. Next, I'm going to the Ruskina Island next door, so I won't disturb you. After all, although he is the benefactor of the 3 Gorgon sisters, he is not that familiar with them. We just got to know each other, officially, so keeping a certain distance is not necessary. Ruskina Island? I remember that there were many powerful beasts on that island? Sandersonia and Marigold were surprised. They naturally knew Ruskina Island, and they had also gone there to practice. Unexpectedly, William was planning to go there. William, what are you going to do there? Hancock asked puzzledly, looking at William's handsome figure with sapphire-clear eyes. The beasts on that island are not ordinary powerful. Even she, the Emperor of 9 Snakes Island, would have to work hard if she didn't use her abilities when facing the most powerful bosses. But her observation haki is not a decoration either. After William appeared, he didn't try too hard to restrain his aura. That hidden and unbelievably powerful haki made her, the Empress of Amazon Lily, feel a little frightened. It's impossible to go there specifically to hone yourself. After all, those beasts obviously cannot threaten William now. It is precisely because the beasts there are so powerful that we plan to catch some back to expand the size of the Beast Legion under the Hell Pirates. William didn't hide it. A brief introduction. By the way, speaking of this, he thought of something. Pointing to the empty town, he looked at the 3 Hancocks. Come to think of it, is it because of the hooves of the heavenly soaring dragon on your body that you are so grand? Hearing this, the expressions of the 3 sisters changed. Advertisement with a brushing sound, his face turned a little pale. The 3 of them were kidnapped by human traffickers when they were young, became slaves of the celestial dragons, and were branded with the hooves of the celestial dragon. This irrevocable mark of humiliation has become a pain that can never be healed in the seemingly strong but actually sensitive and fragile hearts of the 3 Hancock sisters. I made you laugh, Mr. William. Take a deep breath. Sandersonia lowered her head and said bitterly, because if the people find out that we have been slaves, we will not be able to stay in this country. Although this method is a bit too overbearing, for the sake of safety, we have no choice. Marigold's eyes were dim and he smiled helplessly. Once the slave marks on their backs are discovered, the 3 sisters have no face to stay in this country. Hancock looked pale and pursed his lips tightly. She looked directly at William, her voice a little loud. Will you look down on us? Of course not, William said calmly. He caressed Hancock's pretty face, looked gently, and comforted with a smile. Be confident, you are the most beautiful woman in the world who has fascinated countless people. Humph, this is natural. I was just blinded by the wind and sand for a moment. Hancock blushed. He couldn't help turning his head away, turning around to wipe the crystal from the corners of his eyes. In front of this man, I must maintain the last trace of pride and regain the coldness and beauty of the past. But there is no longer the arrogance and indifference of the past, which was arrogant and rejected others thousands of miles away. Yeah? William smiled. Didn't say much. He just looked at the three sisters in front of him and said with a smile. If you want to eliminate the marks behind your back, I know that there is a little human princess in the new world who has the ability to heal fruits. Her ability should be able to do this. A little. Really? Hear William's words. For a moment, the three sisters could not help but widen their eyes, full of excitement. He clenched his fists tightly and looked at William eagerly, fearing that he would hear an answer like, I was just joking, from the other person's mouth. Of course it's true. I'll bring her over next time I come here. Advertisement. William nodded. To him, this is a piece of cake. Going to Dressrosa soon. At this time, the little human princess had not yet been captured by the Don Quixote family, and was still living with her tribe on the Greenbit Peninsula next to Dressrosa. Even if there is no need to use force, with the innocent and kind-hearted character of Princess Manchili, it is impossible to refuse to eliminate the hoof of the Tianqiang dragon behind the three Hancocks. Thank you, William. Hancock is full of surprises. Like gems, some watery eyes looked at William with indescribable gratitude. This man helped them again. That's great, woohoo. Even Sandersonia and Marigold couldn't help but cover their mouths with tears in their eyes. In the end, the two sisters hugged each other tightly. Crying with joy. Thank you very much, Mr. William. A long time, with tears streaming down their faces, Sunia and Marigold turned around in surprise and joy. There he bowed deeply to William and expressed his sincere gratitude to this great benefactor. If the marks behind them could be eliminated, the three sisters would no longer have to cover up so carefully and painstakingly weave lies. You're welcome, we can all be considered friends. For me, this is just a matter of convenience. William waved his hand. Princess Manchili, who has the power of healing fruits. He must be trying to recruit, deceive, him. If you can use this method to gain the gratitude of the Empress, the most beautiful woman in the world, why not do it? Looking at the sky outside, William said goodbye directly. It's getting late, and we can't keep your citizens waiting outside the city for too long. Hancock. I'll build it first. Well, then you. Take care of yourself. Looking at that ridiculously handsome face, Hancock felt reluctant to leave. Don't worry, when I find the little human princess in New World, I will bring her here directly. William promised with a smile, in the extremely excited and reluctant eyes of the three Gorgon sisters. The days were long, and he had no intention of staying any longer. His whole body sank into the shadows at a speed visible to the naked eye. Disappear. Chapter 180, Beast Legion, William's Arrangement. DF. Deep in the calm belt, Ruskagina Island adjacent to Amazon Lily. Deep in the lush green forest, frightening roars of beasts can be heard from time to time. In an inconspicuous shadow, William's tall figure suddenly appeared there. Well, the overall strength of these beasts seems to be much stronger than expected. Close your eyes and feel it. Powerful observation hockey spreads out. There were thousands of ores that were not weak. William smiled. It is indeed quite good material. Considering the shadows of the prisoners in the deep-sea prison, most of them were created by themselves into an army of ghosts. Comparing the strength level of officers above the rank of captain in naval headquarters, excluding the weakest part, these beasts can at least carry 4 or 5 heads. The beast army can now truly take shape. After all, most of the beasts on the terror ship were captured from prehistoric island. In terms of strength, it is really limited. Wait until all the powerful beasts on this island are eliminated. By implanting the shadow of a strong man and creating a large number of beast zombies, you can have a veritable army of beasts. Can be combined with zombie army and shadow army. It's getting late. 763, we have to work quickly. William stretched his muscles, looking at the sky that was about to darken. A flash of red light suddenly flashed in his eyes, and he boldly activated the awakening ability of the shadow fruit. Then, the black shadow torrent. In an instant, the whole island seemed to be shaking. The extremely terrifying aura made countless giant beasts panic and roar. Groups of people fled in panic. However, on this island, where can they escape to? Snakes, insects, rats, ants, birds and beasts, rocks and trees. The endless shadows all seemed to have self-awareness and come alive. All of a sudden, they broke away from the original main body and gathered in the direction of William one after another. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it turned into a mighty black torrent. Submerged those extremely ferocious beasts trying to escape. Rumble. The entire Ruskina Island ushered in an unprecedented disaster. All the stronger beasts were swept and submerged by the black shadow. Advertisement: no place to hide, no place to escape. Less than a few minutes, densely packed carcasses of beasts. Washed away by the vast torrent of black shadows, they gathered in front of William. These corpses are piled up like a mountain, and they are all intact. But without exception, they have lost their breath of life. Makes your scalp numb. B. Black shadow tentacles poked out. Their tips are strung with shadows of struggling shadows. William, who was well prepared, carried with him the shadows of many powerful men plundered from blazing hell, freezing hell, etc., and immediately made a contract. One after another, they were implanted into the corpses of these beasts. In the name of me, Obask William, I will give you new life. From now on, you will forget the past, be loyal to me, never betray, and become my loyal slaves. Endless black shadows, surging. William's eyes shone with a frightening red light. The whole person opened his arms and shouted, "Resurrection, Beast Army." D.A. All of a sudden, Black Panther, Giant Wolf, Rhinoceros, Saber-toothed Tiger, Mammoth. One after another, the beasts lost their breath of life and their hearts stopped beating. They opened their ferocious eyes and roared in unison. The momentum is huge and the scene is spectacular. Horrifying. The only thing that's different, they were the corpses of several huge beasts headed by them. Not yet resurrected by William. A red giant ape, a blue giant ape, a huge lion, a huge crocodile. These giant beasts are undoubtedly the most powerful beasts on Ruskin Island. The boss of Ruskin Island? Don't let me down. A dozen marble-sized shadow balls flew out. Those were clearly the shadows of the prisoners plundered from eternal hell. But, Sepha, thin shadow lines appeared in William's palm in an instant, connecting them in series. In the blink of an eye, the shadows of many powerful men with considerable strength had been stitched into several combined shadows. Bu. Amidst the surging black shadows. The dark tentacles like vines danced uncontrollably. It directly penetrated these combined shadows with quite astonishing aura, leaving them struggling there. Advertisement. But soon William made a master-servant contract, became quiet, and cut off the shadows of the corpses of these giant beasts, allowing them to devour them. Finally, these combined shapes were implanted into the bodies of these beasts. DF. 03. DF. Not long after, several giant beasts with huge bodies and violent momentum. His fierce eyes suddenly opened, and he stood upright, and kept roaring. The leader of the red giant ape was beating his chest. Incredibly violent. That guy Beige has completed his mission, right? Looking at these amazing beasts, William smiled with satisfaction. If you want to bring so many beasts back, you obviously still need to rely on the fortress fruit ability of the ghost power user, Capone Beige. Brush. He chopped with his feet. On the ground, a bloated black shadow appeared. Lord William. Beige, the tool man with ghost ability, knelt down on one knee. 2. Bring them all back. The explanation is completed. William's figure, slowly sinking into the shadows. Yes. These beasts. It feels like it's stronger than me. Tisk tisk, what an incredible group of guys. Why ha, that orangutan must be very strong, right? The leaders are probably stronger than zombie generals like Wang Lun and John. In less than half an hour on the terrifying ship. Watching those being released by Capone Beige from the inner castle one after another. Legions of ferocious beasts with unbelievable momentum and incomparable ferocity crowded the area outside the training ground. Luo, Nami, Kaku, Lafitte, Badgers, Uruj, Hawkins and others. Everyone couldn't help but be a little stunned and gasped. Although they are not as good as those special zombies, the strength of these beast legions is still pretty good. William crossed his arms and said directly to everyone in the Hell Pirates present, from today on, both them and the zombie legions will be your training partners. In addition to relevant training in the future, you must defeat these guys, and you are prohibited from using devil fruit abilities to fight with your own swordsmanship or physical skills. It is not enough to just immerse yourself in hard work and just work behind closed doors. It still takes a lot of actual combat to turn this hard work into one's own strength. I deliberately recruited these seeds with great potential, not just to let them enjoy their happiness. As for Nami and Lafitte, as navigators, you two also need to learn relevant weather knowledge. I have already sent people to invite those Grandmaster climate science experts. Oh, Chapter 181. March into the New World, Dr. Vegapunk? Little ones, set sail and march into the New World. 3 days later. On the Ship of Terror. On the top floor of the central castle, William Tilda raised his right arm high. The tone was sonorous and passionate, and he announced loudly, "It's time to announce our arrival to the world and put this sky and sea under our feet." Oh. For a while. In the square below. Members of the Hell Pirates such as Luo, Kid, Wappa, Crow, Lafitte, Uruj, Brook, Van Oka, Hogakuba, and Bartolomeo are the most full of plaques. There were countless zombie soldiers and ghost army, also holding weapons and shouting. The momentum is huge and exciting. Ho, in the square formation of the Beast Legion. Led by a majestic red giant ape. A large number of extremely ferocious beasts were also not to be outdone, and they all roared there with astonishing momentum. Finally going back to Dressrosa, Violet pursed her lips. The tearful eyes are full of complexity. I couldn't help clenching my pink fists, feeling indescribable excitement in my heart. She can finally take revenge on the Don Quixote family and take back Dressrosa. Not just her, Trafal in the crowd was equally excited. In order to kill Doflamingo, he took revenge on his great benefactor, Mr. Corazon. He did not hesitate to agree to Hell William's invitation. Join the Hell Pirates. Hey, then leave it to me. A tall figure wearing a prison guard uniform flew out. With two famous doctors, Hogbaku and Luo, Shiryu of the Rain, who had recovered from his injuries to a great extent, pressed down on the terrifying ship with one hand. Lion Majesty. For a while, advertisement. The island trembles. The sea surface is rough. The huge terrifying ship rose into the sky and broke away from the sea. There are also the warships surrounding and guarding the left and right. One after another they rushed into the sky, flying towards the distance. Lord William, we have found the location of Punk Hazard. Central Castle. In the top office. A ghost soldier emerged from the shadows and reported there. Oh, William raised his eyebrows and said directly to Robin, who was sorting out the information. Robin, I'll leave it to you, I have to leave. These days, the Black Shadow Corps he sent out has quietly buried a large number of lifecards on many islands where the coordinates have been explored. Their next stop after entering New World, Dressrosa. Also among them. Are you going to Punk Hazard? Robin on the side was full of surprise. She is responsible for the intelligence of the Hell Pirates. The intelligence dossier secretly delivered by Karina, the CP9 and top executive of Eni's lobby. In addition, William has been telling them some important secrets about world government one after another these days. We have a more detailed and comprehensive understanding of the behemoth world government. Of course she knows about Punk Hazard. That is the secret research base where the Marine Science Unit under the world government is located. William, do you want to seize that genius scientist Dr. Vegapunk directly? Robin looked at William and his pupils shrank. Once Vegapunk is taken away, that's no less than stirring up a hornet's nest. Those guys in world government are going crazy, why not? William turned around and chuckled. We have already fully seen his talent. Judge has achieved such an achievement just by using some of the achievements of his youth. If we let him stay in world government and develop some incredible things for those guys, he will be a huge threat to us. His eyes flickered. Advertisement. He knows the trump card of world government very well. That piece is most likely the national treasure of ancient weapon Uranus, and it is absolutely impossible to use it often. As long as Dr. Vegapunk does not develop an energy source like the Holy Flame, the world government will not be able to replenish energy for it. The most important thing is that ghost soldiers are different from zombie soldiers because they can be independent of the main body and do not need to use other people's bodies as bodies, so they will not be affected by the corpses of those strong men. They have a thinking consciousness and fighting instinct that are closer to their own bodies, and can do things that zombie soldiers cannot. Use the shadow of Vegapunk to create ghost soldiers. To a certain extent, it is equivalent to the clone of Dr. Vegapunk himself. Even if his scientific research ability is not as good as Vegapunk himself, I believe it will not be much worse. Definitely far more than other scientists. At least, if it's a collaboration with Vinsmoke Judge. The clone army that William wants to build, as well as the plans of artificial devil fruit, pacifists and even seraphim, may all be completed. The main thing is that he doesn't believe in Dr. Vegapunk. The world government has taken every precaution and has been tricked into doing so. In order to avoid accidents, he decided that it would be safer to use the other party's shadow directly to create a special ghost scientist. Even if he refuses to cooperate with us, his shadow is enough to replace him. William shrugged and said with a smile, and there is something else that I need to get. It's time to snatch that artificial devil fruit. In fact, it's not just the artificial devil fruit that Vegapunk and this genius scientist developed using the blood factor of Kaido. There are many things on the island of Punk Hazard that interest him. For a long time, the world government has secretly carried out experiments on human enlargement. No one knows how much it has cost, but they all ended in failure. Countless experimental subjects and failed products, including giants and even ancient giants. A large number of corpses are frozen deep in Punk Hazard. But there is no rush right now. I will continue to eat the food one bite at a time. Just wait until the Hell Pirates have established a foothold in the New World, and then pick them up. By then, there will be another group of powerful combat forces. Then you have to be careful. Robin knew that William had made up his mind, so naturally he would not dissuade him. Anyway, no one in this sea can leave this man behind. Don't worry, you'll be back soon. Just do it. William's entire body sank into the shadows at a speed visible to the naked eye. Disappeared in front of Robin. Chapter 182, Artificial Devil Fruit, Kidnapped Scientists. New World. Punk Hazard, in a huge heavily guarded experimental base. In the spacious passages, a large number of world government agents in suits and ties, armed with live ammunition, patrolled back and forth. There are a large number of marine personnel stationed on the periphery of the experimental base to prevent others from breaking in or trying to invade. For no other reason than this is where the Marine Science Corps, which is directly under the world government, is located. In addition to a large number of outstanding scientists from all over the world, there is also a genius scientist who claims to be beyond the current human scientific research ability of 500 years. Dr. Vegapunk is here. There is no reason why the world government and naval headquarters do not take it seriously. However, no one found out, in a laboratory isolated from the outside world. A tall and thin figure with a head as big as a giant light bulb sighed. It's such a pity that after investing so much money, it still failed. In front of him was an early triangular pyramid-shaped glass container. Inside, 890. There is an apple-shaped fruit with strange circular patterns and eye-catching blue fruit. Failure. A black shadow suddenly appeared from the shadow in the corner. With a bit of sarcasm, Vegapunk, this is not a failure, is it? Otherwise, you wouldn't have deliberately destroyed the relevant research and experimental materials, and refused to hand over this devil fruit to the world government. Hear the words Dr. Vegapunk was shocked. Huo turned around and looked at the tall figure who suddenly appeared there, his pupils fierce. Are you, William of Hell? But the next moment, William obviously didn't mean to talk nonsense to him, and his eyes suddenly froze. Buzz. An invisible wave struck. All of a sudden, Vegapunk's eyes turned white and he foamed at the mouth. Plop. He lost consciousness instantly, fell there. Sorry, guys like you are too dangerous, it's better to be more cautious. William glanced at the unconscious Dr. Vegapunk and shrugged. Chop it under your feet. A bloated black shadow emerged. Strip him naked, don't leave anything on him, then put him in a prison uniform and lock him up, William said calmly. No procrastination. He opened the triangular pyramid-shaped glass container directly. Advertisement. He took out the blue artificial devil fruit and looked at it. Is this an artificial devil fruit? Others don't know it clearly, but William knows it very well. How exaggerated is the ability of this man-made fantasy beast in the form of a dragon? It can be said that it is a real success that perfectly reproduces the ability of Kaido, the fish fruit, the phantom beast type, and the blue dragon form of the beasts. In addition to being unable to confirm whether it can be awakened. It has the same ability as the original version of phantom beast green dragon form, but the only difference is in color. As a perfectionist, Dr. Vegapunk decided that the dragon was a failure because its color was pink. But in William's opinion, the most important thing is that this guy does not want to hand over this fruit to the world government, nor does he want to produce other artificial devil fruit for the world government. Otherwise, we would not deliberately destroy all those research materials and redundant experimental materials. Yes. Playing with the ability of the artificial dragon form, William looked outside the laboratory. Observation Hockey sensed the different strong and weak auras and smiled softly. Well, they're all here, just take a few more with you. Now, it's not far from here, in a spacious laboratory. There is a figure over 3 meters tall wearing a light blue coat, long black spiky hair, and goat horns on his head. His lower body has completely turned into gas, and the whole person is floating in the air. He was holding 2 test tubes filled with dark blue reagents and filled with traces of smoke, full of excitement. Whoops, this ratio is just right. Once it is mass-produced, it will definitely be the most perfect chemical weapon. It will be just around the corner to surpass that B*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Misa felt a pain in the back of his head. The whole person fell directly into darkness. Well, this guy is a Logia user, and he is very cunning. After he stripped naked and put on prison clothes, he locked him with a sea stone. An invisible figure gradually appeared there. William, whose skin color returned to normal like a chameleon, was there giving orders. In order to prevent these scientists, there may be lifeguards or something. I'd rather go to some trouble and get rid of them. Yes, from the shadows, the figure of Toolman Capone Beige emerged. Then move on. Next target, Naval Headquarters, Marineford. In the Marshal's office. It's been so long and you still haven't found the whereabouts of the Golden Lion? Buddha Sengoku looked gloomy. He held back his anger and asked in a deep voice. Advertisement, I'm very sorry, Marshal Sengoku. Adjutant Branu wiped cold sweat and responded cautiously. Neither CP nor our Marine Intelligence Network has been able to find out the whereabouts of Golden Lion. They seem to have suddenly disappeared. Damn it. That be ***************** D. Wouldn't it be nice to just become a legend? He just came out to cause trouble at this time. He slapped the desk hard. The extremely angry Buddha Sengoku gritted his teeth. Most of the prisoners in Eternal Hell are ambitious and rebellious people. It is unlikely that they will be subdued by Shiki in a short time. I guess he is not that capable. The hero Garp sitting on the sofa nearby had no intention of joking at the moment, and said helplessly, but even so, the prisoners from the Crimson Hell on the underground floor to the freezing hell on the 5th underground floor are all this extremely vicious guy will be in big trouble if he is subdued by him. More troublesome things are yet to come, no matter what Buddha Sengoku says. At this time, Vice Admiral he walked in, his face more solemn than ever. This made Marshal Marine's heart skip a beat. I had a bad premonition again. Xiaohei, what's wrong? News just came from Punk Hazard. A dozen top scientists from all over the world, including the chief genius scientist Dr. Vegapunk, all disappeared out of thin air. Number 3. Crane Vice Admiral had a serious face and said in a deep voice, and the surveillance can't detect any abnormalities. It's like he suddenly disappeared from the experimental base. But without exception, their clothes were thrown into the sea. In addition, several devil fruits distributed by the world government to the Marine Science Force for research were also directly stolen. What? Whether it was Sengoku the Buddha or Garp the hero, their faces changed drastically. I never expected that something like this would happen at this juncture. Especially Dr. Vegapunk, the world's #1 genius scientist, was actually kidnapped. The style of committing the crime is somewhat similar to the Impel Down invasion incident a few days ago. It was most likely done by Golden Lion, Crane Vice Admiral said bluntly. 1.6. Boom. A palm pressed down hard. Buddha Sengoku's face was ashen. The desk in front of him fell into pieces in an instant. Damn, is it that Shiki guy again? Bulu tilde 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 bolo tilde tilde tilde. At this time, the white phone on Li Gong's desk suddenly rang. The Cranes, Vice Admiral, Hero Garp and others on the side couldn't help but raise their eyebrows. Sengoku's eyelids twitched fiercely, but he could only pick up the phone and answer the call. Moses, I am Sengoku of the Buddha. It involves Dr. Vegapunk, the world's #1 genius scientist. The response from the top leaders of the world government was obviously very quick. Sengoku, no matter what method Marine uses, he must find out the lawless guy Golden Lion as soon as possible and deal with him completely. From the phone bug came the somewhat furious and unquestionable voice of the five elders. We must take back Vegapunk no matter the cost. Otherwise, you should stop being a Marsh. Chapter 183. Phantom Beast Species. Transformed into a raccoon form? The major forces being targeted. Now, no matter how angry the world government and naval headquarters are, the instigator had already returned to the Ship of Terror with his trophies. BU. In the central castle, in the top office. Including the two ability users Dr. Vegapunk and Geisa Kalang. The shadows of the Marine Science Force scientists who were kidnapped one after another were directly cut out by William, and contracts were made to create ghost soldiers. From now on, you are the scientific troops under my command, and you must obey Judge Vinsmoke's orders 100%, do you understand? William was there giving orders. Yes, Lord William. Including Dr. Vegapunk, who even turned into a ghost soldier and still has a big head. A ghost scientist, respectfully biased there. Bring them to Germa. William waved his hand. For the sake of safety, he planned to secretly set up a scientific research base in Germa. Prevent world government from jumping over the wall. Tisk tisk. First they emptied the world's largest deep-sea prison, and now they directly kidnapped the world's most talented scientist. I'm afraid the world government will go crazy now. Robin on the side said with a smile. I feel inexplicable in my heart. The ability of the shadow fruit is really too powerful. Especially the power revealed after awakening. It even makes people's scalp numb. The existence of the black shadow core alone, it can be said that it is all-pervasive and difficult to guard against. With William's terrifying talent, if you obtain other fruit abilities, for example, if you choose to directly eat the ability of the phantom beast species, the sickle weasel, its own strength may not be weaker than it is now, and it may even be stronger. But the hell pirates will never be as powerful as they are now. Advertisement. It will take at least several years to develop. After all, he has been a relentless enemy from the beginning, and he will be provoked sooner or later. William chuckled. He doesn't worry at all about angering the world government. The current hell pirates may not be strong enough to challenge the world government head-on. But it can't be defeated casually. At the very least, even in the face of Marines' encirclement and suppression. Also able to move forward and retreat freely. However, apart from these scientists, I didn't expect that there were other gains. William said with a smile. Capone Beige, on the side, took out a suitcase and placed it on the desk in front of Robin. After opening it, it was actually full of devil fruit. There are 6 in total. She was a little surprised. This is. The blue one is the devil fruit, an artificial phantom species and dragon form developed by Vegapunk by extracting the blood factor of the beast Kaido. William's words shocked Robin. Looking at the blue apple with circles in shock, he asked, is this the artificial devil fruit you mentioned? She once heard from William that Garpunk had successfully developed an artificial devil fruit. I didn't expect this to be the finished product. Yes, even though it is an artificial devil fruit, it has power that surpasses most devil fruit. Looking at the fruit in the form of an artificial phantom beast and a dragon, William couldn't help feeling a little confused. From this point of view, Vegapunk, the world's #1 genius scientist, is well deserved. Said, he pointed at a devil fruit with a rather strange shape and eye-catching appearance. And this is an unexpected surprise. It is said that it was specially sent by the world government for Vegapunk to study the dog fruit, the phantom beast species, and the raccoon form. Have I recognized another phantom beast species? Robin couldn't help but marvel. I've seen the devil fruit illustrated book. Advertisement except for those unrecorded fruits. Most of the devil fruits are still recognizable. It's not just the dog fruit, the phantom beast species, and the ability to transform into a raccoon form. Several other devil fruits are also quite amazing. Dragon fruit ancient species Allosaurus form, canine fruit dachshund form, Paramecia regression fruit, Paramecia silent fruit. Robin. Identifying those devil fruits. If Luo is there, I'm afraid there will be some bad seats. Because, that Paramecia fruit of silence was the ability of his benefactor Corazon during his lifetime. It's free, don't give it up, just bring it all back, William said with a chuckle. In addition to the ability to transform into the raccoon form of the phantom beast species, the ancient species Allosaurus form and the Paramecia retrograde fruit are worthy of his attention. Of course, like Paramecia silence fruit, it's very good to use with the ghost army to lurk. At least, for Mariejoy, a holy place with profound and unfathomable heritage. In order to avoid alerting the enemy, William has not directly taken the risk and sent the Shadow Corps to explore. But if you cultivate a ghost soldier with the Silence Fruit ability, you can minimize the risk of being discovered. After all, William has long been eyeing the collections of Naval Headquarters, World Government 940 and other forces. However, the Hell Pirates have not yet officially established a foothold in the New World, and they don't want to push this behemoth too hastily. Otherwise, if the world government really wants to suppress the Hell Pirates at all costs, which would lead to the inability to develop with peace of mind, and may even face threats from other pirate emperors, that would be a big trouble. Let's not talk about the treasures and so on. At least, it would be possible to replace those devil fruits quietly first. After slowly investigating the treasure troves of the major forces and the shapes of the devil fruits they collected, Judge will be able to come up with some fake bags that can look like real ones. William was even considering making a batch of inferior artificial devil fruit smiles. At that time, those guys who had high hopes from major forces including world government, naval headquarters and so on, specially rewarded devil fruit. After they ate those fruits with great expectation. Or turn into all kinds of ugly monsters with strange shapes, but whose strength has not been improved much. Or in the end, he doesn't gain any ability and becomes a guy who can only laugh. It's interesting to think about it. Chapter 184 Lucci's Decision, Artificial Fantasy Beast Species Dragon Form. In the gorgeous hall, William became the hands-off shopkeeper and left all the trivial matters to Robin. He came downstairs and sat leisurely on the sofa drinking wine. Beside him were two girls, Khalifa and Violet. Two graceful, youthful and beautiful people are accompanying you. William. Not long after, Kaku and Lucci came towards him. Kaku, Lucci, what are you? Khalifa was surprised. Violet on the side was also a little curious. We have something to ask William, Lucci said bluntly. You guys stand down first, William smiled lightly. He put down his wineglass and motioned for the two women to leave. Have you made your decision? As Khalifa and Violet left. Looking at the determined looks of the two people, William asked with a chuckle. Just when the Hell Pirates fleet was about to leave the Devil's Triangle. Their shadows had already been returned by his order. Come find yourself at this time. The purpose is obvious. That's right. I've had enough of my weak and powerless self. Lucci's tone was low. Clenching his fists, veins popped out. His eyes were more resolute and stern than ever before, and he looked directly at William. Isn't it just to kill celestial dragons? We should be almost at the Saboti archipelago, right? A series of blows. It made him deeply aware of his own weakness. All pride was ruthlessly shattered and stepped into the dirt. See again that even Shiryu of Rain, who just joined, can gain such a powerful ability as Lion Fruit. Even those members of the Hell Pirates who are currently not as powerful as themselves are under the tutelage of William himself and the swordsman Ryoma, Golden Lion and those special zombies. Growing at an astonishing rate, Lucci could no longer sit still. He obviously couldn't accept being surpassed by these guys one after another. As long as you can get more powerful power, even if you fall into the darkest hell. He, Rob Lucci, is willing to. Advertisement? I don't have any problem either. Kaku shrugged. Anyway, there is no turning back from the beginning. As long as it is done more covertly, it should not be discovered by the world government at least in a short period of time. Don't regret it? William asked with a smile. I will never regret it? Lucci and Kaku spoke simultaneously. Their expressions were full of determination, without even a trace of hypocrisy. Lucci, you should know what I really want tilde. William stood up. A sharp gaze like an eagle, looking down at Lucci and Kaku in front of him. He was not angry but had a terrifying momentum that made the two of them breathless. It's okay for Kaku. I believe you won't betray me. But if one day you get something comparable to those monsters, with the power, will you really not betray me? Do you think I can trust you? Rob Lucci, for a while? Kaku couldn't help but change his expression. Subconsciously he looked at Lucci beside him. Whether you believe me or not is up to you, William. Lucci looked very calm. There was no entanglement or struggle, and his eyes were full of stubbornness and determination. When he made up his mind to come to see William, he had already made all the decisions and psychological preparations. Then, in Kaku's widened eyes, this arrogant companion who was once called the strongest genius of CP9 before William. He knelt down on one knee and lowered his proud head to William. The only thing I can do is to prove my loyalty with actions, Sir William. See this. Kaku was a little shocked. He also knelt down on one knee and said in a deep voice, William, sir, me too. Yeah? William couldn't help but laugh. The huge observation hockey, covering the entire castle, got the exact answer. He sat down and snapped his fingers directly, swish. In the surprised eyes of Lucci and Kaku, advertisement. A black shadow emerged from the ground, and William took the artificial devil fruit from the ghost soldier's hand. He threw it directly to Lucci. What is this? Lucci's pupils shrank sharply. He looked at this apple-shaped, somewhat strange fruit. While feeling a little excited, he looked at William with some disbelief. Aren't you afraid that I will get the power and run away directly? And Kaku swallowed his saliva, a little surprised. I didn't expect William to give a devil fruit directly to Lucci. Although I don't know what the specific ability is, I believe it won't be weak. However, Why did Lucci go before him? No matter how you look at it, he is more loyal and reliable, right? Aren't you afraid that this guy will run away directly after getting the fruit ability? I have got the answer I want. You have passed my test. William sat on the sofa. Folding his arms, he smiled and said, "This is a gift I have prepared for you a long time ago. Eat it." With Violet's Paramisha Dang Dang fruit's ability to see through people's hearts. If Rob Lucci had a trace of disguise and unwillingness in his heart just now, he would be a corpse now. The ability of this artificial fantasy beast dragon form. From the beginning, William's best candidate was Lucci. It's just that he has been waiting for the other party to recognize the reality and make the right choice. After all, he can't just use such a powerful ability to train an ungrateful person. Really? Hearing William say this, Lucci didn't hesitate. Grabbed the fruit directly. Took a bite. Don't you want to ask what ability it is? Seeing this, William smiled and said, "Maybe it's the most common zone ability? I won't regret the choice I made," resisting the nausea. Swallowed the whole devil fruit. Lucci said in a deep voice without changing his face. He didn't think William would deliberately play tricks on him. William. Sir, what ability did Lucci eat? Kaku was envious and asked curiously. He had come to his senses. Although William was his good friend, their identities were different now. Otherwise, Lucci, who was so proud, would not change his words directly. What if I tell you that this is an artificial devil fruit? William said with a smile. What? Artificial devil fruit? The two of them couldn't help but shrink their pupils. They looked at William in disbelief. Artificial devil fruit? Can such a thing really be done? Kaku was shocked. This is the genius scientist drive. Vegapunk, who extracted the bloodline factor of the strongest creature on land, sea and air, Kaido, and spent a huge amount of money and a lot of time to develop it. Looking at Lucci, who was a little doubtful, William said lightly, "He is very good at world. The government claimed that the experiment failed, destroyed all the research data and experimental materials, and refused to hand over the fruit. But in fact, this is a successful work. It perfectly replicates the power of the fish fruit, the mythical beast, and the Azure Dragon form, DAUF. Kaku and Lucci couldn't help but gasp. Good Li Jiao, an artificial devil fruit that can perfectly replicate the ability of the mythical beast. It's incredible. Tisk tisk, is this possible? Kaku took a deep breath and was a little amazed. Drive. Vegapunk is really a genius scientist who claims to surpass the current scientific research wisdom of mankind for 500 years. Then it seems that my luck is really good. Lucci smiled. At the same time, he was indescribably excited. He had naturally heard of Kaido of the Beasts, the strongest creature on land, sea and air. There is no doubt that the other party's mythical beast, Azure Dragon form, must be incredibly strong. There is one thing I want to explain to you in advance, Lucci. William shrugged and reminded him. After all, it is an artificial devil fruit, even drive. Vegapunk can't be sure whether it can awaken. Of course, you don't have to be disappointed. Even if it really can awaken, it can still be said to be the top one among the many mythical beasts. Otherwise I wouldn't give it to you, Lucci. I believe you will soon be able to experience how powerful this fruit is. Chapter 185 The Dragon on the Terrorist Ship. Roar, a thunderous dragon roar. Alarmed everyone in the Hell Pirates. Even the zombie army and the shadow army couldn't help but widen their eyes. With his mouth wide open, he stared blankly at the huge, majestic pink dragon rising into the sky. I couldn't believe my eyes. Hey, is it true? Dragon? Does such a creature really exist? Are you kidding me? Looking at the huge thing in the sky that gives people unlimited pressure. Luo, Kid, Wappa, Reiju, Perona, Brook, Lafitte, Uruj, Hogba Gu and others all showed expressions of disbelief. On the rooftop of the castle, William stood there with Kaku, Robin, Khalifa, and Violet. Is this the power of that artificial devil fruit? Looking up at the giant dragon in the sky, Robin was shocked. Although she learned from William's mouth that this fruit was an experimental product that successfully reproduced the ability of the fish fruit, phantom beast species, and blue dragon form, she had tried her best to imagine that this artificial devil fruit must be very fishy. But I really didn't expect it to be so exaggerated. Is this really what Lucci changed? Staring blankly at the exaggerated dragon. Khalifa and Violet looked shocked. Incredible. Kaku marveled. 070. If he hadn't witnessed Lucci's transformation with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. This ridiculously exaggerated dragon turned out to be Lucci himself. William looked directly at the giant dragon above, chuckled and said, Lucci, how do you feel? Compared to a certain 8-year-old kid, Lucci, who was already quite talented, was obviously able to easily adapt to the power of this fruit. It doesn't mean that he can't even control his transformation. 1. High in the air. Blossoming flame clouds appeared out of thin air. The giant pink dragon grabbed the flame cloud and steadily kept up with the terrifying ship that was flying towards the distance at a very slow speed. Lucci's voice was a little hoarse, but full of indescribable excitement. I can feel that power is pouring out of my body. Thank you so much, Sir William. This moment, he was sure that William really didn't perfunctory him. Advertisement Lucci was inevitably a little disappointed when he heard the other party say that this artificial devil fruit might not be able to awaken. But now, feeling that unbelievable power, he was very glad that William chose him instead of others. Without him, this artificial phantom beast fruit is really too powerful. Even if this fruit, CEFJ, really cannot be awakened, it is still comparable to the abilities of most phantom beast species. Roar. Lu Qi, who transformed into a giant dragon, was so excited that he couldn't restrain himself and wanted to roar loudly. Blessed to the soul, he suddenly opened his fangs and hideous mouth. A blazing fire gathered there. Whoosh, a loud roar broke through the air. The dazzling heat breath distorted the atmosphere and flew out like lightning. It blasted into the distance. There was a loud bang. The water splashed and the waves surged. The sea several kilometers away exploded. Large areas of seawater were ruthlessly evaporated by the terrifying high temperature in an instant. Makes you sweat. That's, Lu Qi? Is that the giant red dragon just now? Tisk tisk. Is this another phantom beast ability? Watching the pink giant dragon shrink at a speed visible to the naked eye. He turned into Lu Qi's appearance and landed on the rooftop of the castle in the distance. Luo, Kid, Lafitte, Perona, Uruj, Shiryu and others all couldn't help but shrink their pupils, and were a little shocked. Obviously, the other party should have obtained some powerful ability from William. And it is most likely a very rare species of phantom beast. Thank you very much, Lord William. Lu Qi knelt down on one knee. He suppressed the excitement and joy in his heart. Looking at William, his eyes revealed indescribable respect and gratitude. He didn't feel elated because of gaining strength. He knew very well who gave all this. 100 beasts, Kaido, can become the strongest creature in the sea, land and air. Of course, it is because of his extraordinary talents and extremely strong body, but this fruit is indispensable. William was obviously very satisfied with Lu Qi's attitude, and said with a smile, if nothing else happens, Lu Qi, your physical fitness will make huge improvements and leaps in all directions at a speed visible to the naked eye. Maybe Lu Qi can't become the strongest creature on land, sea, and air like Kaido. But even if the fruit ability cannot be awakened, he will definitely become one of the most resistant to beating in this sea. Advertisement his strength alone is comparable to those of the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. If he spends some time to fully adapt to the fruitful abilities he has just acquired, his strength will surely undergo an earth-shaking leap. This kind of improvement is unimaginable by ordinary people. You may even be unable to overcome or catch up throughout your life. This is the huge change brought about by the ability of a top-level devil fruit. Once the current Lu Qi adapts to the fighting style of human-animal form, he can easily crush his previous self, not even as simple as 1 or 2. I'll give you the chance to become stronger. William crossed his arms, stared at the other person, and said, how far you can go, it depends on you. I look forward to the day when you can become my right-hand man. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Lu Qi stood up. He responded with a serious look on his face, powerful fruit abilities. Let him regain his former self-confidence again, but he has lost a bit of arrogance and has become more calm. He knows very well that although he has gained powerful fruit abilities now, it is not far enough. There is still a long way to go before that group of truly powerful people. William. Sir, what about me? Looking at William, he was about to leave. Kaku couldn't help but speak and looked at the other party eagerly. Seeing Lu Qi suddenly acquire such a powerful ability, it was inevitable that he couldn't sit still. Don't worry, you won't be late for a good meal. William patted him on the shoulder. In his hand, there is indeed a magic beast species Wu Neng. But the ability of the phantom beast species, the raccoon form, is not a combat type ability, but more of an auxiliary nature, which is not very suitable for Kaku. In comparison, the abilities of General Wanokuni and Kurozumi Orochi's snake fruit, phantom beast species, and Yamada no Orochi form are undoubtedly more suitable for the opponent. And it's easy to get your hands on. This was already decided by William. It's just that the Black Shadow Corps under his command just found the coordinates of Wanokuni not long ago and haven't had time to go there yet. As for whether to offend Kaido of the beasts or something, William wasn't worried at all, or he didn't care at all. Karina had already reported that the beast's pirates were searching for his whereabouts everywhere, and they were obviously targeting her, or in other words, Robin, a glossologist who could decipher historical Chinese. With Kaido's strong and arrogant yet cunning character. Sooner or later they will be enemies. Let's ask for some interest first. Kaku. He was obviously the one who joined first. In the beginning, who kept saying that Lu Qi couldn't be trusted? Chapter 186 Admiral Kizaru? Angry Sengoku? Lord William. William had just arrived at the training ground. The people present, including Law, Kid, Wappa, Perona, Brook, Haguba, Bartolomeo, etc., gathered around and looked at Lu Qi curiously. The transformation of the other party into a dragon just now gave them a great shock. And Kaku and Bluno held their heads high, full of pride and pride. They usually had some conflicts with Law, Kid, Bahas and others. A while ago, as the representative of the CP9 faction in the Hell Pirates, Lu Qi was abused by the ghost leader Blue Ogre, and was squeezed by these guys from time to time. But they were a little aggrieved. Now, with Lu Qi's powerful fruit ability, he came forward. Finally, he breathed a sigh of relief. Lord William, 50 miles ahead, there is a fleet returning to the direction of the naval headquarters. Glanced at Lucci. Lafitte asked William, "Do we need to bypass them?" Admiral of Headquarters, Kizaru, seems to be on top. Wappa added. Admiral Kizaru? William raised his eyebrows and said lightly, "There is no need to fly over their heads so swaggeringly. Things have come to this point. A mere Marine Admiral. Is he qualified to make the Hell Pirates give way? Even if this sea area is very close to the naval headquarters, what does it matter? If he doesn't know what's good for him, he doesn't mind teaching this Admiral of Headquarters a lesson." Yes, at this moment, dozens of miles away, on the turbulent sea, a marine fleet consisting of several warships is moving slowly there. Leading it is a top-level warship with a majestic momentum. Admiral Borsellino, it is estimated that we will be able to return to the naval headquarters in 2 hours. A navigator saluted the tall and thin figure in the cloak. Advertisement, are we almost there? You have worked hard? He put his hands in his pockets and looked at the blue sea. Admiral Kizaru, wearing a pair of brown sunglasses, nodded there. He was wearing a yellow striped suit and a marine justice cloak. He was very tall, about 3 meters tall. But with that unflattering monkey-like dignity, he looked a bit wretched and sloppy. It was really impossible to connect him with such a powerful and respected figure as the Marine Admiral. I don't know how long it took. The lookout on the mast noticed the movement in the distance and his pupils shrank sharply. He hurriedly looked there with a monocular. That's something bad. Looking at the black spots that were getting bigger and bigger, cold sweat came out directly. He shouted down. There's an enemy, what's going on? The well-trained Marines below were all excited. They were alert at the first moment, and quickly gathered there to prepare for battle. It was Admiral Kizaru who had just sat down and read the newspaper. They all looked up, full of doubts. What happened? Gurgle. I don't know what's going on. A huge island and a large number of warships are flying in the air. On the mast, the lookout responded loudly in panic. What? Countless Marines were shocked. Even Kizaru's face changed and he stood up suddenly. Is that the flying pirates? Looking at the black spot in the sky ahead that was visible to the naked eye and was getting bigger and bigger, his pupils shrank sharply. The Marine Admiral looked very serious and ordered the adjutant beside him. Send a message to the headquarters immediately, and the whereabouts of Golden Lion have been found. Yes. The adjutant hurriedly ran to the liaison room. This is really troublesome. Kizaru frowned. He twisted his mouth, somewhat helpless. After completing the task of inspecting the major Marine branch bases on behalf of the naval headquarters, he was preparing to return home in a happy mood. Advertisement I heard that all the prisoners in the deep-sea prison were taken away quietly, and even several scientists including Dr. Vegapunk, the world's #1 scientist from the Marine Science Corps, were kidnapped. Please give me flowers. The world government was frantically looking for the whereabouts of the Golden Lion. Unexpectedly, the Admiral of Headquarters, encountered it. In this case, it is impossible to pretend that nothing happened. If that happens, Marshal Sengoku will not forgive him. What? Naval Headquarters, Marineford. In the Marshal's office, Sengoku, who was busy with official business, received the report and was shocked. He stood up suddenly. Kizaru encountered the flying pirates? Yes, Marshal Sengoku, this is the information just sent back by the fleet where Borsellino is, Branu responded. 0. Did you finally catch that guy? Sengoku looked cold, clenched his fists tightly, and ordered loudly. Let Kizaru bite Golden Lion at all costs, don't let them run away. Immediately send Aokiji to lead the fleet to support. Branu stood at attention and saluted. Also, let Garp go too. For the sake of insurance, Sengoku thought it was better to be cautious. After all, Golden Lion emptied the entire deep-sea prison. If he reached an alliance agreement with those powerful guys, it would be troublesome. Marshal Sengoku, I heard that Vice Admiral Garp left the naval headquarters early in the morning on a warship because he couldn't stay idle. Branu reported carefully with sweat on his forehead. What? Hearing this, Sengoku's face darkened, gritting his teeth. That be ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Garp would run away at this time. Without further delay, let Aokiji rush over first, and contact Garp immediately and ask him to turn around. Yes, before Branu left the office, Sengoku, who was a little angry that the hero Garp had left his post without permission, continued to shout fiercely. Tell that B************* D Garp that if he lets Golden Lion run away, all his vacations next year will be cancelled. Ah. Yes. Chapter 187. Beating? Kizaru was beaten and stunned. Crash. On the sea. The marine fleet moved forward slowly. Looking at the pirate fleet coming across the sky in the distance, and the huge island ship at the head. Recognizing the identity of the island ship, Kizaru couldn't help but shrink his pupils. What's going on? Isn't that Moria's terrifying ship? Shouldn't it be Golden Lion's flying pirates? Did Gekko Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, get killed? Paluzolino Admiral, their fleet is not flying the flag of the Sky Pirates, but the flag of the Hell Pirates. The lookout loudly reported there. He discovered that the flags on the robbed warships had already changed. And it's not the pirate flag of the Flying Pirates, it's the flag of the Hell Pirates. Even the graffiti on the outside has turned black and gray. It looked full of oppression. 947, what? Perusalino's expression changed. Full of doubts, he frowned and his face became solemn. You should immediately turn around and report to the headquarters. I will go check the situation. Yada mirror. The words have not yet finished. He had already interacted with his hands and pointed at the distant sky. Brush. A dazzling light mirror condensed out. A dazzling channel of light shines toward the sky ahead. Whoops. Kizaru's entire body turned into a rain of light in an instant and disappeared along the passage of light. For a moment, there was a flash of light. Kizaru had already appeared in front of the terrifying ship, overlooking the entire terrifying ship and the surrounding fleets. This is so scary. Looking at the astonishing number of beasts and zombies, as well as the huge and eye-catching demon Oz, Perusalino couldn't help but take a breath. Air conditioning. The powerful hockey on the terrifying ship made him even more frightened. Hey, Marine. It's not a good habit to show up uninvited. The electric light shines, in Kizaru's sharply shrinking gaze. A figure bathed in thunder light kicked toward him like lightning. Brush. Light rain danced. Wappa's attack failed. The next moment, the light rain gathered into a human shape. Speed is weight. Have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? With continuous training day and night, he became more and more skilled in predicting the mental network. Wappa's hair stood on end as he reacted. Hey, he didn't hesitate. It turned into lightning for the first time. Dist. As expected, the fierce and unparalleled light speed kick broke through the air in an instant. Advertisement, but Kizaru's attack failed in the end. He dodged the swift blow. Logia Thunderfruit user? Seeing Wappa, who was able to narrowly avoid his own light speed kick in an instant, and appeared dozens of meters away in the blink of an eye, with electric light shining all over his body, Kizaru was filled with surprise. It's so scary, hell. The pirate group. Marine Admiral Kizaru? Shiryu of Rain flies by. Holding the famous sword Thunderstorm, he is full of fighting spirit. Kai. A frightening cold light struck hard. In an instant, Kizaru's entire body turned into a shower of light. Let the gleaming blade fail. Ah, aren't you the chief warden of Impel Down, Shiryu of the Rain? Perusalino was a little shocked as he looked at the Shiryu of the Rain who suddenly rushed up with murderous intent and gathered in the sky. The shining right foot is as fast as lightning. Without any hesitation, he kicked him down violently. Sorry, not anymore. Shiryu of the Rain smiled ferociously. In response to Kizaru's kick, the blade struck out fiercely. Kang. Sparks sputter. A dazzling laser beam shot out. The hair on Shiryu's hair stood up and he subconsciously turned his head to dodge. Tien Kong Yun's sword. Immediately afterwards, the light is dazzling. Kizaru pulled both hands. A dazzling and sharp lightsaber condensed out. He struck at Shiryu of the Rain in an instant. His eyes under the brown sunglasses were full of surprise. Can you tell me what is going on, Warden Shiryu? No doubt. The Warden of Impel Down may have teamed up with Golden Lion, or Gekko Moria. But all this is really confusing, and Perusalino is really becoming more and more confused. Hey, wouldn't it be interesting to find the answer yourself? Shiryu of the Rain was full of fun. Without showing any signs of weakness, he brandished his famous sword, Thunderstorm, and collided with the incoming lightsaber. Dead. The electric light shines. Wappa was just about to rush forward, but his shoulders were directly held down. Advertisement, Lord William. Wappa was stunned, looking at William in surprise. I found that in midair, I don't know when there were more thin and undetectable shadow lines appearing one after another. Go down. I saw a tall figure with demonic shadow wings behind it, and said lightly, your half-hearted armament hockey can't threaten him yet. Yes. Wappa also knew that there was a huge gap in strength between himself and Admiral. There was no unwillingness, and the whole person turned into lightning and disappeared in midair. Boom. At the same time. A fiery slash. Suddenly, the laser beam that was about to hit the terrifying ship was scattered. A tall figure ran out of the air. AAA. The Golden Lion is very fast. Observation hockey locked onto Kizaru. Holding Sakura 10 tightly in his right hand, he suddenly swept out. Slash wave. The atmosphere is torn apart. A huge blazing slash struck like lightning. Golden Lion. Looking at the wild figure rushing up, Kizaru's pupils tightened. The moment the dazzling slash struck, the whole person turned into a rain of light and violently exited. He narrowly avoided the slashing attack. There was a flash of golden light. Almost at the moment Kizaru had just condensed his 2.3 form, his hair suddenly stood up. A terrifying figure, as fast as thunder and lightning, appeared in front of him instantly. Crack. Bang. The violent fist marks were intertwined with black and red lightning. It immediately overwhelmed the atmosphere with lightning speed. It hit hard. Unstoppable. Boom, between the electric light and flint. The exaggerated fist mark directly hit Kizaru's body. Wow. He was caught off guard and unable to dodge and couldn't help but vomit blood. In an instant, the unimaginable impact caused him to fly out like a cannonball and hit the sea below. Kizaru, who was flying upside down, had a distorted face, looking at the terrifying young figure wrapped around the powerful hockey in disbelief. Hell William. Chapter 188 Multiple Shadow Clone, Lariat, Open Black Lens Bracket 4th Update Close Black Lens Bracket. Call a loud roar broke through the air. Kizaru vomited blood and flew towards the sea below at an astonishing speed without losing momentum. Ahem. That's too much. The severe pain that hit him all the time made the Marine Admiral, who had not been injured for a long time, grinning. Black Hell William, Golden Lion, Moria, Shiryu of Rain. What is going on? He looked at the sky and did not stop. Instead, his speed did not slow down and he continued to fly towards the islands in the distance. His eyes were filled with surprise and uncertainty. The doubts in my heart are getting bigger and bigger. 8-foot beautiful Magatama. Noticing that he was about to fall onto the sea, Kizaru's eyes narrowed. Brush. Swipe. The golden light shone, and the whole person turned into a dazzling light bomb. It continuously tore apart the atmosphere and violently attacked the terrifying ship above. Moreover, the light bullets transformed into Kizaru's appearance at a speed visible to the naked eye. Holding lightsabers in hand, they all attacked William and others. BB. A clone? Hey, you are indeed a Marine Admiral? Looking at the shocking number, Kizaru came up to kill them again. Wappa, Golden Lion, Shiryu of Rain and others at 24 in the sky couldn't help but shrink their pupils. You really don't learn a lesson? The shores of the terror ship? Standing there with his arms folded, he looked down at Admiral Kizaru who rushed forward unwillingly, using the ability of sparkling fruit to create a large number of light clones, and seemed to have no intention of retreating. William showed a sneer and snapped his fingers. There is no point in comparing numbers in front of me. Multiple shadow clone. Woo. High in the air. The young figure that had blasted Kizaru down earlier, and looked exactly like William, with an astonishing aura, exploded directly. Brush. Swipe. Groups of strange black shadow substances splashed out there. In the eyes of Yuji Shiryu and others, they shrank. They expand and change at a speed visible to the naked eye. One after another, tall figures appeared there one after another. Moreover, behind them, there is a pair of demon wings condensed, with majestic momentum and murderous intent. Only then did he realize that the one who suddenly appeared in the sky and knocked away Admiral Kizaru with one punch was not William himself at all, but just his clone. Hiss. So many Sir William. Tisk, tisk, it's incredible. Can the ability of the shadow fruit be able to do such a thing? As expected of Lord William, on the training ground. Advertisement Luo, Kid, Nami, Nako, Perona, Uruj, Brook, Desaya, Bartolomeo and others. They all raised their heads there, staring blankly at the dozens or hundreds of Williams in the sky that were exactly the same as the original body and completely unrecognizable. Some of them couldn't believe it and were amazed. Obviously, this Lord William has developed the ability of the shadow fruit to an unimaginable level. Baboo. Lots of shadow clone, flying down without any sign of weakness. Killed the Kizaru, who rushed up. Clone. Kizaru's pupils shrank, a little surprise. But without hesitation, he brought those light clones to kill him. The sound of gold and iron clashing was extremely deafening. Like the opposition between light and darkness, the two parties were fighting there. Like a mortal, Kizaru's light clones were all ruthlessly destroyed. Obviously, it lies in the control of ability, but William is undoubtedly stronger. What a terrible guy. Dazzling figures gathered in the sky. The hands are intertwined, focusing on the dazzling light mirror, 8-foot beautiful Magatama. D. In an instant, densely packed light bullets continuously blast towards these shadow clone. However, those shadow clone that were killed directly turned into a large number of shadow lines. The explosions shot out in all directions, covering the entire sky. This is shadow line. Witnessing this scene, Perusalino's eyes were filled with uncertainty. As if thinking of something, the whole person couldn't help but shrink his pupils. Could it be? But the next moment, the hair on his whole body stood up. Wah wah gg, the amazing electric light kept shining. A terrifying figure rushed over like lightning. Hell thrust 4 bon hands. The dark and sharp palm knife, intertwined with dazzling electric light, entangled the powerful hockey. He suddenly struck behind Pelusalino, with murderous intent running through him. He couldn't help but change his color in shock, and his pupils suddenly dilated. BU. Advertisement between the electric light and flint. The golden figure and the black and blue figure are constantly flashing in the sky. It's so dazzling that you can't react at all. The light rain danced, accompanied by blood flowers. The dazzling figures gathered dozens of meters away in an instant, widening the distance. I'm careless, I can actually teleport through these black lines. Perusalino looked at him with a stern look, covering his bloody shoulder. For the first time, he met someone faster than himself. The opponent actually moved instantly through those shadow lines, completely suppressing the speed that he, the Flash fellow, was proud of. In that short moment, Kizaru had already dodged several times. In the end, it was still not completely avoided. He was directly injured by William. Do you have a clone whose combat power is almost the same as the original body? His expression was solemn as never before. His eyes were fixed on the tall figure in front of him. Then he looked at the terrifying ship below, which was exactly the same. The young figure who stood there watching indifferently without taking any action from beginning to end said, Obask William. Did you learn Moria's abilities? In that case, do you have to let the mage kill you? On the training ground, looking at Kizaru with a face full of disbelief. William showed a sneer. It seems that Black Arm, Zephyr, the chief instructor of Marine Academy, has made a mistake in his evaluation of you. You, the Marine Admiral, don't just know how to rely on fruits. Ability, observation hockey's training has also reached quite astonishing heights. Brush. The next moment, Kizaru felt his eyes blur. On the left, a tall figure appeared again. The naturalness of hockey makes people feel a little frightened. Lariat. No nonsense. He was not prepared to give Kizaru, the Marine Admiral, a chance to breathe. One to the left and one to the right, two extremely terrifying figures were bathed in strong electric light. Two extremely terrifying fist seals blasted over at the same time. Attack from both sides. Show no mercy. Brush. At this moment, a fatally intense crisis. Kizaru's hair stood on end and his pupils dilated. Light explosion. Chapter 189. Fleeing away, shocked Aokiji. Wow tilde tilde tilde. Woohoo tilde 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 woohoo tilde tilde tilde. The sea boils. The waves were rough. High in the sky, 3 waves are rolling. The gusts of wind couldn't help but rage, making it difficult to open one's eyes. On the huge island ship, the nearby coast was directly affected by the shocking aftermath, causing part of it to collapse. Luo, Kid, Brook, Badgers and others who were too close would have been injured if Bartolomeo hadn't immediately used the ability of the Paramecia barrier fruit to protect them. Even the warships surrounding the terrifying ship, which had been painted black and gray and hung the flag of the Hell Pirates, were all visible in the air. He was almost overturned by the powerful airwave. Self-destruction. High in the air, dark shadows surge. William, who was unscathed, had sharp eyes. Does sparkling fruit still have such ability? He originally wanted to see if he could keep the Marine Admiral. I didn't expect that the other party would use this method to avoid his ultimate attack. If that terrible blow just now had been hit directly, Kizaru's chest would have been penetrated. Internal organs will be destroyed directly, certain death. Lariat. He created it by borrowing the moves from 4th Raikage. However, what is slightly different is when the Shadow Mage, whose combat power is almost the same as his own, attacks from front to back and uses Lariat together to deliver a decisive blow to the target. The two are in tandem, and the point of attack is the same. The terrifying power that erupted in an instant, and the unimaginable shockwave. It is enough to ruthlessly penetrate and crush the target's body. Destroy all its vitality. DZDZZ. There was a flash of electricity. Wappa's figure appeared in front of William, where he said, "Sir William, he has run away. His breath is several kilometers away." What a slippery guy. Did you run away decisively when the situation was bad? He looked around and looked at the sea in the distance. In the sky, there was a faint golden light, which disappeared in a flash. William shrugged. Forget it, let Shiryu take over those warships and continue heading to the New World tilde. Advertisement glancing at the small fleet that was already drifting away and about to leave the site, he had no intention of letting these Marines go. For the Hell Pirates, who have just begun to enter the New World and urgently need to expand the size of their fleet, mosquitoes are still meat no matter how small they are. Since Marine took the initiative to provoke him, he would have to pay the price. It's really awesome, the Marine Admiral is running away. I'm afraid no one in this sea can face the siege of Lord William and his Shadow Mage at the same time, right? Nami, Robin, Kid, Lafitte, Van Oka, Hogba Gu and others could not help but marvel. If you hadn't seen it with your own eyes, who would have believed that the Marine Admiral, who represented the highest combat power of the naval headquarters, would run away from William and not dare to continue fighting? Enemy attack. 6767. These guys. How did it come out? Damn it, completely unkillable. Damn, what kind of monsters are these? Now on the distant sea, on several warships of different sizes. There were constant sounds of fighting, gunfire, and screams. One Marine screamed and fell into a pool of blood one after another. In front of them, there was a dark figure with a dark body and a ferocious face, like a demon. It was quickly cleared out and the team was directly controlled by the Ghost Corps. Crash. I do not know how long it has been. On the undulating sea, a not very wide ice path appeared there. The cyan figure was running wildly across the sea at an astonishing speed. Bu. At this time, golden light flashed. Aokiji, who was speeding up, suddenly stopped in his steps. Advertisement looking at the visitor, his pupils shrank sharply, Peluzolino. At this moment, Kizaru was covered in blood, his face was a little pale, and he was extremely weak. In that depressed and embarrassed look, where is the high-spiritedness of the past? When has this Marine Admiral, who has the ability of Logia's sparkling fruit and unparalleled speed, ever seen such an embarrassing scene? Ahem, Kuzan, you're late. Perusolino landed on the ice track. Holding his bloody right shoulder, he took a deep breath and smiled bitterly. If nothing else happens, my fleet should have been completely wiped out. He shouldn't have been in such a mess, and he shouldn't have been hit hard so easily. At first, he didn't understand Hell William's abilities and was a little too careless. Especially, facing the attack from the opponent in the clone, if he hadn't relied on self-destruction to evacuate decisively. I'm afraid I've been killed by that terrible monster. What on earth is going on? Looking at Kizaru's miserable look, Aokiji looked solemn and a little confused. With your ability, relying on the speed of light to move, if Udo just drags the target, who can hurt you like this? Obask William. Wiping bloodline from the corner of his mouth. After receiving a merciless punch from William, Perusalino had several broken ribs. He was still frightened and said quietly, "That monster is beyond our imagination. He is not a Paramecia telescopic fruit user, but a telescopic fruit user. It's Paramecia shadow fruit ability user. He got Moria's ability and took everything from that guy in Moria. The ship of terror has already been controlled by him." What? Hear the words. Aokiji was shocked. Hell William's ability is Moria's shadow fruit. Bulu bolo At this time, the phone in Aokiji's pocket suddenly rang rapidly. "Aokiji, have you arrived? I just got through the phone and didn't wait for him to speak." The anxious voice of Buddha Sengoku came from the phone bug. "I just received a report that part of Kizaru's life card has been burned. I'm afraid the situation is not good. Haven't you arrived yet?" "Mr. Sengoku, I'm fine." Perusalino took the call and said helplessly, "I'm very sorry, I couldn't hold them back." Perusalino, just be fine. The other end of the phone bug. Buddha Sengoku, who was far away at naval headquarters, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. At the same time, he asked loudly, "What is going on? Didn't you just need to rely on Sparkling Fruit's ability to hold them back? Even if the Golden Lion's strength hasn't declined over the years, he won't be able to get you injured so easily, right?" Chapter 190 Marine Think Tank, Bold Guess, What? In other words, you suspect that Hell William has already killed Gekko Moria and gained his abilities? Naval Headquarters, Marineford, Marine Hospital in a luxurious intensive care unit. Admiral Kizaru was lying on the hospital bed with medical bandages all over his body and a serious defense. Listening to the detailed report of Kizaru, the Marine Admiral, the faces of Buddha Sengoku, Admiral Aokiji, and Marine Vice Admiral Crane who were gathered here all changed greatly. Inexplicably shocked. Some couldn't believe it, although it's a bit unbelievable, this is the case. Leaning on the hospital bed, Perusalino, who was a little weak, said in a deep voice, "However, if he is really a shadow fruit user, then his ability development has obviously far surpassed that guy Moria, and maybe he has already awakened." He wasn't 100% sure either. Is Hell William a shadow fruit user? Just judging from the situation of fighting with its clone at that time, I think it is very similar. If Hell William is the mastermind behind the Hell Pirates, then the abnormal behavior of the terror ship all the time makes perfect sense. Crane Vice Admiral was a little confused, but his face was solemn as never before, and if you think about it carefully, the ability to stretch the body 100 degrees is indeed very similar to Moria's shadow revolution. It wouldn't be surprising if Moria's body was transformed into a zombie by him. As the Chief Staff Officer of Naval Headquarters, she naturally has some knowledge of the relevant information about the 7 warlords of the sea, and even the abilities of the shadow fruit. According to the Devil Fruit illustrated book, the ability of the shadow fruit can even control and change the shape of the shadow, thereby changing the shape of the entity. While trying to hide his own fruit ability, he continued to borrow the identity of Gekko Moria, the 7 warlords of the sea. In this way, he confuses Marine and disguises himself as Paramecia, a telescopic fruit user. That makes sense. Advertisement, however, Vice Admiral Garp once said that Hell William can manipulate electricity, fire, and even become invisible. It is impossible to have multiple devil fruit abilities, right? Aokiji scratched his head and said with some confusion. As we all know, a person can only eat one devil fruit and have one ability. Anyone who is too greedy will eventually pay the price for his greed and die miserably. No one can possess 2 or more fruit abilities. This is generally accepted knowledge on the sea. What if it's not devil fruit's ability, but technological means? Vice Admiral Crane, who was frowning in deep thought, suddenly spoke. What, technological means? Sengoku, Kizaru, and Aokiji. They all couldn't help but look at Crane Vice Admiral in astonishment. Such a bold guess is a bit far-fetched, right? Although I don't know exactly what happened, according to Marine's information, Disaster Quinn, a member of the Beast's pirates, once demonstrated similar abilities to Hell William. Crane Vice Admiral said directly. In addition, among North Blue's famous Germa, the members of the Vinsmoke family also have similar powers, and even have steel-hard exoskeletons. It is said that they are special blood factors that transform people. And according to the investigation, both Vinsmoke Judge and Disaster Quinn were once members of the Mads team when they were young. Since Garp last fought against William of Hell, he has compiled relevant information. She specifically investigated and finally found that the abilities displayed by Hell William were very similar to the technological powers possessed by Disaster Quinn or the children of Germa 66. Combining the information Kizaru brought back this time, and thinking about the kidnapping of Dr. Vegapunk, there is no doubt that the culprit is also Hell William. Crane Vice Admiral had to wonder whether the other party was fully aware of the power of technology. Only then would they invade Punk Hazard directly, with the help of the world's #1 genius scientist. Mads? It seems a bit familiar. That overseas illegal research team that Vegapunk formed when he was young? Advertisement Kizaru, Shinza, and Sengoku were surprised. Obviously they are no strangers to the Mads team and have some impressions. Another thing that is also very suspicious is that Garp once mentioned that Hell William's body is very weird, as tough as steel. Crane Vice Admiral said in a deep voice. When he was in CP, although Hell William was incredibly talented, he definitely did not have such a powerful and invulnerable body of steel. Otherwise, the world government would not have discovered it. Originally, I thought it might be the special devil fruit ability that gave him a steel-like physique. But combined with the information from Perusalino, if Hell William is really a shadow fruit user. Speaking of which, after a pause, Marine Jishong, who has rich experience, broad thinking, and extraordinary wisdom, said firmly, "Then I have reason to suspect that his strength has improved by leaps and bounds in a short period of time, and he has grown so fast, most likely because of the help of the power of technology has turned into a special bloodline factor to transform people." What? Bloodline factors transform people? Listen to Crane Vice Admiral's analysis. Kizaru, Aokiji and others were present. They all couldn't help but shrink their pupils, a little shocked and inexplicable. I never expected that Crane Vice Admiral would come to such a conclusion. It's really hard to believe. Xiaohei, if you say that, it's not impossible. Sengoku's face became serious. He clenched his fists tightly, full of fear. If we follow the marine consultant's train of thought, the more we think about it, the more likely it is. After all, it is a bit too amazing that William of Hell has such exaggerated strength at such an age. Especially when he first rebelled against world government, the opponent's strength was clearly far from that exaggerated. At most, it was at the level of an ordinary elite vice admiral. However, in just a few months, his strength has continued to leap forward at a jaw-dropping speed. No matter how talented he is, he has officially entered a golden period when his strength explodes at a high speed. Logically speaking, it is impossible to grow so fast. Anyway, that brat William from Hell is really unexpected. Chapter 191. Oblivion Island. Historical text. By the way, Golden Lion is also on the terror ship. But his behavior is a little abnormal. Not only did he recover his legs, but the rudder on his head was also removed. It's like he lost the ability of lion fruit and actually used moonwalk to fight. In the VIP intensive care unit of the Marine Hospital. At this time, Borsellino thought of something. He added with some doubt. Instead, it was the traitor Shiryu of Rain who gained the ability of flying fruit. In addition, there is a Logia Thunder fruit user under William of Black Prison. I have a bad feeling. Speaking of this, he swallowed his saliva. He made a bold guess. With the strength shown by William of Black Prison, Golden Lion, who lost his legs, had a rudder on his head, and was old and weak, it would not be surprising if he was killed. What? Hearing this, it was not just Admiral Aokiji next to him who was shocked and speechless. Buddha Sengoku and Vice Admiral Crane, who were present, all changed color with horror and broke out in cold sweat. Could it be? Mr. Sengoku, I'm afraid we have to be fully prepared. Borsellino's face was solemn, and he said bluntly, if I'm not mistaken, Black Prison William can not only make the corpses of the strong into zombies with considerable combat power, but he may also be able to take away the fruit abilities of others in some way. Hiss. For a moment. Whether it was the Marine Marshal of Buddha Sengoku, or Admiral Aokiji, Vice Admiral Crane and others. In their hearts, they all felt a chill that penetrated their bones. Some of their scalps were numb. Let's not talk about whether he really has a way to plunder the devil fruit abilities of others. Vice Admiral Crane's face was more solemn than ever before, and he said in a deep voice, there is no doubt that Black Prison William's own strength is already comparable to New World. Those monsters are on par with each other. Borsellino just said that he can even summon an avatar with the same strength as the original body. Although it is not clear how long such an avatar can last. But forgive me for being frank, any admiral who faces him alone will probably be in danger. Looking at Kizaru, who is a little weak and in a miserable state on the bed. Even strong men like Sengoku of Buddha and Admiral Aokiji can't help but be silent. That is, Kizaru, relying on the ability of sparkling fruit, can successfully escape. If it were someone else, I'm afraid it would be hard to predict life and death. Moreover, if Black Prison William is really the user of the shadow fruit, then the purpose of emptying the deep sea prison, in addition to possibly recruiting some of the strong men, I'm afraid the more reason is for the shadows of those strong men. Crane Vice Admiral looked solemn and said in a deep voice, if nothing unexpected happens, he should want to use those shadows in the bodies of the strong men to create an unkillable and powerful zombie army. Advertisement, zombie army. Listening to Crane Vice Admiral's analysis. Everyone present couldn't help but change their expressions. According to what Kizaru just said, if Golden Lion's ability has really been taken away and his body has been made into a zombie, then the power of the zombie army should not be underestimated. If that guy uses the shadows of those strong men as materials for making zombies. For a moment, even Sengoku, the Marine Marshal, felt a little scalp numb. The deep sea prison has imprisoned many powerful guys, and even those strong men who were frozen and imprisoned in the past, there are many bodies that have not been disposed of after death. I think this is also the reason why he no longer hides and appears in a big way. The current Hell Pirates no longer need the skin of the 7 warlords of the sea. Suru Vice Admiral shrugged and said faintly, obviously, this ambitious young monster who cannot be guessed by common sense has fully possessed the ability to challenge the power of those monsters in the world. Whether it is their own strength or the forces under their command. We can no longer look at Black Prison William with the same eyes as before. Bulu tilde. Suddenly, the rabid Den Mushi suddenly remembered. The three people present, Aokiji, Kizaru, and Suru Vice Admiral, subconsciously looked in the direction where the Den Mushi came from. Moshi, I am Sengoku of Buddha. Sengoku answered the phone solemnly. Marshal Sengoku, there was news from Marijoy just now that the Hell Pirates fleet has soared over the Red Line. Damn. Are those guys really going to enter the New World? Sengoku's face darkened. Kizaru, Aokiji, Crane Vice Admiral and others could not help but look solemn. Once the Hell Pirates really invade the New World, there will definitely be a big fuss. Now, there is probably going to be a huge storm over in New World. Maybe, Marine has finally managed to suppress it and the sea situation, which is gradually becoming stable, will experience unpredictable turmoil again. Also, Marshal Sengoku. The phone bug imitated the outline of Adjutant Sengoku, and said with sweating profusely. The world government is very angry and strictly orders us, Marine, to come up with a plan as soon as possible to solve the huge threat of Hell William. Sengoku's face turned dark. Asterisk. He clenched his fists tightly, feeling a little aggrieved. Those big bosses just stand and talk without pain, and they are urging each other every day, putting pressure on him, the Marine Marshal, at every turn. Doesn't he want to eliminate the Hell Pirates as soon as possible? The problem is the power that the Hell Pirates are showing now. I'm afraid it's almost comparable to the Beast's Pirates, Big Mom Pirates and other powerful factions that dominate one side. Advertisement not to mention that it also has the ability of Lion Fruit, which can move freely in the sky just like the flying pirates of the past. With Marine's current strength, can it really be solved even by forming a large fleet to go deep into the New World to encircle and suppress Black Hell William? If it were that easy, all the big pirates in New World would have been wiped out long ago. At dusk. Far in the first half of New World, the island of Oblivion. A huge island lies high in the sky near the sea. There are also a large number of warships surrounding it. It was indescribably shocking. William, is this the place you mentioned? And at this moment, it has returned to the quiet island from the hustle and bustle of the day. In a deserted ancient ruins, William came here with Robin and a few people including Reiju, Nami, Nokagao, and Perona who wanted to join in the fun. He held up a searchlight to illuminate the ruins, which seemed a bit eerie because it was already evening. Well, the ghost soldiers I sent out found the historical text here, so I brought you over to take a look, William said with a smile after passing through an abandoned ancient building. Not so long ago, he was sent to this island called Forgotten Island to look for Devil Fruit's ghost army. I accidentally stumbled into this ancient ruins and discovered the whereabouts of the historical text. Because I just crossed the Red Line and came to New World, which is not far away. And it's already dark, considering New World's harsh and unpredictable climate. William directly asked Shiryu of Rain to use the ability of Lion Fruit to control the terrifying ship and fleet to the island of Oblivion, and then continued on his way until dawn. And he took Robin and other girls with him, came to explore this ancient ruins. Well, here, not long after, in a dark ancient building. A historical text full of traces of time and covered with moss. Appeared in front of several people. Historical text? Robin is full of surprises. I came forward immediately and couldn't wait to read. Chapter 192, Phantom Beast Vampire Form, Huge Bounty. Lord William. At the same time, a ghost soldier emerged from the shadows. He presented a dark purple apple-shaped fruit with strange patterns. This is the devil fruit I just found from the deep underground ruins. Asterisk. Did you find another devil fruit? Nami, Reiju, Khalifa, and the other girls who came to join in the fun were all a little surprised. Tisk, you're really lucky, William smiled as he took the dark purple fruit. He naturally recognized this devil fruit at the first time, bat fruit mythical beast vampire form. And he was not particularly surprised to be able to find this mythical beast vampire form. Because as early as when the Ghost Corps discovered this forgotten island, William had already, 627, ordered them to search for this devil fruit at the first time. The historical text that Robin just read was just a side dish. Lord William, what is this ability? Nami, who was standing by, was full of curiosity. Not only her, but also Reiju, Nokigo, and Khalifa, who were standing beside her, were no exception. As that? Bat fruit mythical beast vampire form. Robin, who had just finished reading the historical text, looked a little surprised and a little regretful, turned around and shrank her eyes. Looking at the devil fruit, she was a little surprised. I actually found this ability. Having seen the devil fruit illustrations, she naturally knew what this ability was. Huh? Mythical beast? Bat fruit mythical beast vampire form? In other words, if you eat it, you can transform into the legendary vampire? Hearing this, the girls were surprised. I never thought that this fruit was a rare mythical beast. And it was a vampire form. 138 liras. Robin smiled and said, it is said that after eating it, you can turn into a legendary vampire, and stay young forever by sucking blood, so that people will stay young forever and will not age. It is said that it has the power to make people immortal, but whether it is true or not is unclear. Advertisement. This is what is recorded in the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. But whether it can really achieve immortality has not been confirmed. DAUF, eternal youth. Hearing this, Nami, Reiju, Khalifa and other women were all dumbfounded. The power to stay young forever, obviously no woman can resist such temptation. Unfortunately, they are all capable people. Even Reiju, the eldest daughter of the Vinsmoke family, was given the ability of the dog fruit mythical beast Tanuki form by William not long ago. Just after entering the new world, I have such a harvest. This is a good sign. William couldn't help but smile as Nami and other girls took the fruit of the mythical beast species and looked at it. Regardless of whether this fruit can make people immortal, it is undeniable that it is powerful. The next day, early in the morning, the sky, which was originally gloomy and windy, suddenly cleared up. I completed several rounds of high-intensity training with Robin early in the morning, guiding her to develop flower fruit's abilities in depth. It's really hard to find this confidant sister who works very hard and wants to keep up with the rhythm. A refreshed William came to the training ground. No order from William was needed. Early in the morning, Shiryu of Rain has already activated the lion fruit ability. Leading the fleet in the air, under the guidance of Nami, Luffy and the kidnapped weather scientists, they perfectly avoided the huge storm and started heading towards Dressrosa. What's so exciting? Seeing people from the Hell Pirates gathered in small groups discussing something, William asked with a smile. Ext. Luo Yang looked at several new reward lists that had dropped from the World Economic News he had just subscribed to, and said to William with a smile, "The news that the Hell Pirates invaded the deep sea prison has been reported. Chase Chianyeli's world government has released a new bounty for you. Even Shiryu has won. Now, I'm afraid the entire sea has been shocked." He could imagine. Once the news spreads that the deep sea prison Impel Down has been invaded, what a big sensation will it cause? The world's largest deep sea prison houses tens of thousands of extremely vicious and lawless villains. For many years, no one has ever been able to successfully escape from the so-called Iron Wall. Advertisement, even the news of the Golden Lion jailbreak was suppressed. Unknown to the outside world. To this day, countless people still believe in the myth that Impel Down is unbreakable and cannot be broken. But this time, the legend that the deep sea prison is an iron-walled prison will undoubtedly be completely shattered. In particular, William did not just rob a prison and rescued one or two prisoners. Instead, the entire Impel Down was evacuated directly. Fuhis tilde fuhis tilde fuhis tilde. Sir William, now the world government and Marine are afraid that they will lose face. Dr. Haguba smiled strangely and said, "Those guys are probably going crazy." Oh, William raised his eyebrows. The corners of his mouth rose, as if he wasn't surprised. Because he deliberately asked the Golden Emperor to contact the big news Morgans of the World Economic News Agency to expose the news. How could the world government be so happy and suppress these news so easily? After all, the Hell Pirates are about to enter the new world with great fanfare and compete with those big pirates. Just need to make a name for yourself. Sir William, this time you have been offered a reward of 2.2 billion Baileys. Desire ran over with William's reward list and said happily. The eyes that looked at William were filled with indescribable enthusiasm and admiration. 2.2 billion? William chuckled. This amount is no more, no less. Lafitte on the side smiled and said, "This guy Shiryu has also been offered a reward of 5.295 billion Baileys." Hey, just be so. Shiryu bit her cigar and smiled. He was not particularly satisfied with such a reward. After all, in terms of strength alone, although he dare not say that he can be compared with monsters like Big Mom and Kaido, he thinks that he is no worse than the great pirates Lieutenants Katakuri, Fire Calamity and Jin. The bounties for these guys are more than 1 billion Baileys. However, considering that this was the first time a bounty was placed on his head, it was clear that Marine still recognized his ability as the Impel Down Warden. 550 million Baileys? William nodded, if he guessed correctly. Marine has probably guessed that Shiryu of Rain has become the new lion fruit user. That's why we pay so much attention to it. Chapter 193 The Sea Shakes and the Beasts Decide. Shocked. The deep sea prison was invaded, the disappeared prisoner, the evacuated Impel Down. The world's largest deep sea prison? The broken copper and iron walls? Unprecedented. The man who caused trouble in 2 of the 3 major agencies of the world government. Big event. Black Prison William invades the deep sea prison, Shiryu of Hours of Rain rebels and surrenders to the enemy too. 7 warlords of the sea Gekko Moria has long been defeated. The boss behind the Hell Pirates, Black Prison. Obask William, close black lens bracket. A new legend is about to be born. Hell William leads the Hell Pirates to officially enter the new world. Super Pirate Rising Star OR Captain of the Hell Pirates, a man with a bounty of 2.2 billion. This day, countless newsbirds. Take a brand new newspaper and fly to all parts of the world. The sea shook and the world shook, countless people, as well as major trends. Look at the headlines in the newspaper, they were all shocked and stunned. Some couldn't believe it. The world's largest deep-sea prison, the legend of its impregnable copper and iron walls, has been shattered. Moreover, they were all evacuated. You know, there are thousands of extremely vicious and lawless villains imprisoned inside. If these guys all come out to cause trouble, I am afraid that this sea will once again fall into unprecedented chaos and turmoil. 24. Just thinking about it makes my head tingle. Hey, is it true? Gulu. Are you kidding me? William of Hell emptied Impel Down and brought in all the prisoners? You can't be wrong. Hell William's bounty has been raised to 2.2 billion Baileys again. Are you kidding me? Impel Down, the world's largest deep-sea prison, and the myth of the Iron Wall has been broken like this? Oh my god. I heard that the people locked up inside are all extremely vicious and lawless guys. Is he trying to conquer the villains in Impel Down? Damn it, what are those guys from Marine and World Government doing? The deep-sea prison has been emptied by Black Prison William. Didn't guys like Marine notice it? I didn't expect that Gekko Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, would have been killed long ago. The boss behind the scenes of the Hell Pirates has actually been Hell William himself from beginning to end, and has he not really come to light until now? This is just unbelievable. Where's this world headed? The sea was in an uproar. Grand Line shakes. Countless people at the bottom couldn't help but fall into panic. Advertisement thinking that thousands of prisoners who burned, killed, looted, and committed all kinds of evil were all taken away from the world's largest deep-sea prison, and they might come out to do evil again in the future. I was full of worries about the future. Even those forces, large and small, were shocked. At the same time, I also felt the other party's terrifying enthusiasm. I never expected that Black Prison William would be so courageous. Not only did they dare to invade Impel Down directly, but they also emptied it and took away all the prisoners. It's really unbelievable. Tisk, incredible. Has he emptied the world's largest deep-sea prison? To actually take away all the prisoners, it's too brave. You know there are quite dangerous guys inside. It turned out that Gekko Moria, the 7 warlords of the sea, had already been killed quietly, and the Hell Pirates were created to hide behind the scenes. First it was Eni's lobby, and now it's Impel Down. It caused a scene in 2 of the 3 major agencies under World Government. Are the top brass of World Government going crazy? This Black Prison William has a lot of ambitions. In the second half of New World, in a certain sea area, aboard the Moby D*K, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates were all shocked. Even Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, was a little shocked when he looked at the newspaper that had just been delivered. Unexpectedly, the world's largest deep-sea prison was suddenly invaded and evacuated. Those guys from Marine and World Government were completely unaware and failed to stop it. Gulalala tilde, what an ambitious brat, staring at the ridiculously young figure on the latest reward list. Whitebeard couldn't help baring his teeth and chuckled. However, those unruly guys are not so easy to obey. He didn't think that William of Black Prison could subdue those unbridled and lawless prisoners. After all, there were several monsters imprisoned there that even Whitebeard could not despise. Those guys were as irritable as their strength. If they could easily surrender and be willing to be inferior to others, that would be a miracle. Wanokuni, Ghost Island. The headquarters of Beast's Pirates. In the huge skeleton building, in the luxuriously decorated attic. A figure like a prehistoric beast, bold and grandiose, sat there. Below, there were several desks, and several figures of different shapes were sitting there. A tall blonde beauty wearing a kimono, who looked like a little giant, was smiling and sitting aside, playing the shamisen to cheer everyone up. It was the governor of Beast's Pirates, Kaido of the Beasts, and several cadres of Beast's Pirates. Governor Kaido, it's been a long time since I drank with you. Sasaki, one of the 6 Flying Six, stood up with a bloated body and a big belly. Holding the wine glass, he smiled and said to Kaido, the beast at the top, I toast you a glass. Okay, cheers. Kaido, the beast, was full of smiles and did not refuse. Holding the huge wine bowl, gulp, and drank happily. Showing a huge capacity. Advertisement, NSTE. A tall figure with wings on his back and a ball of fire behind his head came hurriedly. He was wearing a black warden uniform, black gloves, and a tightly fitted mask on his head. His face could not be seen clearly, not even a hair could be seen. The 6-meter-tall figure gave people a great sense of oppression. Oh, Jin, you came just in time, come over and have a few drinks. Looking at Yanzai Jin, Kaido of the Beasts said with a smile. The Black Prison William you are looking for has appeared, Jin said in a deep voice. However, the noise he made this time was a bit exaggerated. As he said that, he spread out a newspaper and gestured to Kaido. Black Prison William? Is it that guy again? Ah tilde, what did that handsome boy do again? Sasaki, Foz F, Black Maria and others beside him were all surprised. He looked over subconsciously. The world's first deep-sea prison, Impel Down, which is known as a copper wall and iron wall, was successfully invaded by him, and all the prisoners inside were taken in. What? Invaded Impel Down? Took away all the prisoners inside? Not only the 6 flying suns present, even though Beast's Kaido himself couldn't help but shrink his pupils and stood up suddenly. He looked at the newspaper in disbelief, and was somewhat shocked by the black and white headlines on it. According to the World Economic Daily Report 173, Black Prison William is the mastermind behind the Hell Pirates. Gekko Moria, who once fought with you, was killed by him a few months ago. Jin continued, and it is said that after invading Impel Down, he also subdued the guard Shiryu of Changyu. Now he has officially entered the New World. Hiss, is Obask William crazy? Listening to Jin's introduction, not to mention Sasaki, Black Maria, Runti and others. As a member of CP9, Fu, who was not completely ignorant of Impel Down, the deep sea prison, couldn't help but take a breath. Impel Down is where countless vicious guys are imprisoned. Black Prison William dared to invade there and take them all away. Is this an attempt to subdue these guys? Empty Impel Down. What a messy guy. Kaido laughed loudly. It seems that his ambition is really big. However, those unruly villains can't be subdued just by wanting to. KKK. Mr. Kaido, they should have entered the New World now. Do we need to change our plan? Jin asked. The current Black Prison William led the Hell Pirates to march into the New World with great fanfare. They are no longer the 2 or 3 kittens they thought before. Change the plan? No need. Let's go to the first half of the New World. Without hesitation, Kaido made a decision directly. The demon-like figure was full of hockey and walked straight outside. Tell Joker to find out the whereabouts of the Hell Pirates as soon as possible. This is his last chance. It just so happens that the Circle is also interested in Impel Down's use of those prisoners. Oh, hee. Chapter 194 Heavenly Yaksha Gloating, Monet's Speculation. And this time, the first half of New World, Dressrosa, King's Heights. He actually moved Impel Down, what a crazy guy. In the magnificent palace, looking at the newspaper that was just delivered. Heavenly Yaksha, Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, held his forehead and laughed muffledly. Jojo Fu. Known as the Iron Wall, the number 1 in the world that has never been successfully invaded in 800 years. The deep-sea prison was breached, and tens of thousands of prisoners were all taken away quietly. I'm afraid the world government will be disgraced this time. Those guys are probably already very angry, right? The outside world doesn't know the true identity of Heavenly Yaksha, Don Quixote Doflamingo. Because the Don Quixote family was one of the 20 royal families that created the behemoth world government. He is a descendant of the 20 kings, once a celestial dragons, born with a golden key in his mouth and enjoying supreme privileges. However, because his father Hinagu voluntarily gave up his status as a world noble, it was foolish to leave Holy Land Maria and live like a mortal. As a result, Doflamingo fell into the clouds, lost his identity as a celestial dragons, and became an ordinary person. Even because the news that he was once a celestial dragons was accidentally leaked, those in the sea who had long-standing grudges because their relatives were bullied and persecuted by celestial dragons, and who always hated celestial dragons in their hearts, directly transferred all their hatred to them. The people who came to their family hunted them down. Later, he did not hesitate to kill his father, took his head back to the Holy Land Marijoy, and tried to restore his identity as celestial dragons. However, he was ruthlessly rejected and was even hunted down because he discovered the secret of the world government. For this reason, Doflamingo had a strong resentment towards the world nobles above Marijoy, but he was always thinking about revenge on the world government, hoping that one day he could bring down those high-ranking people. Seeing the failure of the world government, it is natural to feel a little schadenfreude. Indeed, it's incredible, how did those guys do it? You know, Naval Headquarters, Eni's Lobby, and Impel Down are called the 3 major agencies of the world government. There is a huge vortex current in the middle. You only need to pass through the Gate of Justice, and you can follow the current in the shortest time. To the other 2 locations. It's incredible that those marine guys didn't notice such a big movement at all. It's not just Doflamingo himself. The Don Quixote family officials present were all surprised. Advertisement, you said something to me, and I was amazed at the same time. Some couldn't believe it either, but then again. Pointing to the newspaper, about the news that Gekko Moria, the 7 warlords of the sea, had been defeated, Diamante said in a deep voice to Doflamingo. Dover, it turns out that Moria guy has been killed by that Black Prison William. And borrowing the identity of the 7 warlords of the sea, he established the Hell Pirates and has been hiding in the devil protagonist Haichung. No wonder we have mobilized all our strength, but we can't find any trace of him. These days, photographed in Beast's Pirates Pressure. The Don Quixote family has mobilized all the power of the underworld and the white world. But Hell William and Nika Robin seem to have disappeared, with no whereabouts at all. It turned out to be hiding in Gekko Moria's lair, the Devil's Triangle. Bah, who would have thought? Doflamingo looked at Hell William's reward list and sneered. When you encounter a monster like Hell William, you can only blame him for being unlucky. Fellow 7 warlords of the sea Gekko Moria was killed. He didn't care at all, let alone felt any sadness or anger, shared the same hatred, or anything like that. After all, being killed so easily proves that this guy is nothing more than that, and he is not worthy of being listed as the 7 warlords of the sea with Doflamingo. By the way, the picture. Torble, who was standing next to him, came over and said worriedly. The Beast's Pirates just called, asking us to find the traces of the Hell Pirates as soon as possible. If we can't find the whereabouts of these guys this time, I'm afraid they won't let us off easily. Those bastards. Doflamingo's face darkened. Immediately, his eyes flickered, and he said with a ferocious smile. Lagging, don't worry, now that the Hell Pirates have begun to march into the New World, I believe that Hell William will not settle down anywhere, and will soon risk from. If there is a chance, he really wanted to cooperate with the Hell Pirates. After all, even though he had to give in and make compromises due to the power of that monster, Kaido. But he dare not challenge Beast's pirates head-on, but that doesn't mean that Doflamingo really regards himself as Beast's pirate's dog. Advertisement: if the Hell Pirates really have the power to compete with the Beast's pirates, he definitely wouldn't mind giving Beast's pirates a little nudge. Teach the arrogant monster Kaido a lesson. Go back and take revenge. Expose bad breath. Tilda Monet, is that guy Violet still missing? Doflamingo took a deep breath. Suppressing his inner dissatisfaction, he asked the Don Quixote family leader Yuki Onna Monet in a deep voice. I'm very sorry, young master, that woman seems to have disappeared, and her whereabouts can't be found at all. Monet was full of apologies, but she added, however, we have just received a special piece of information. I heard that from the kingdom of Prudence next door, 2 distinguished guests seemed to have come and were warmly entertained by King Elizabeth II. It was about the time after Violet's betrayal. Oh, I heard Monet say that. Doflamingo, who had a calm expression on his face, couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. What do you mean? A few years ago, when I was undercover in the palace as a maid, I accidentally heard the queen of King Ku, Qian, mention that King Dole III of King Ku and the kingdom of Prudence next door King Elizabeth II has been a good friend for many years. Before Doflamingo led the Don Quixote family to usurp the throne of Dressrosa, Monet, who had been lurking in the palace as an undercover agent, said bluntly. So, young master, I suspect that King Liku and his family are probably hiding there, in the palace of King Prudence next to it. Nagging, that's it. Doflamingo's eyes flashed under his sunglasses, and he laughed ferociously. Would you like to play with me under the light? Violet, you are still young? He was almost convinced. King Riku is most likely hiding in the palace of Prudence Kingdom. It looks like I'm going to the kingdom of Prudence. Don't wait for Doflamingo to finish. Diamante, who was on the side, suddenly pointed to the sky in the distance and showed chapter 195 panic and uneasy Doflamingo. That is, black spots? No, that's an island? Flying island, above the king's heights, all of the Don Quixote family. Look in the direction Diamante pointed. A black spot is getting larger and clearer. It was a huge island, flying over from the sky, and around it, more black spots appeared, which were blurry. The cadres of the Don Quixote family couldn't help but widen their pupils and open their mouths. He showed a look of disbelief, somewhat stunned and sluggish. Shocked. Hey, are you kidding me? Looking at the sea, the uninvited guest is coming from across the sky with great momentum. Doflamingo, who was originally smiling, could not help but shrink his pupils and break out in a cold sweat. Why are those guys here? The increasingly clear sight of the terrifying ship allowed him to directly determine the identity of the visitor. I never expected that the Hell Pirates, who had just been revealed to have officially entered the New World, would appear here with great fanfare. For a time, there was strong uneasiness, some panic. Torble, send a message to the Beast's pirates immediately. Although if there is a chance, he doesn't mind teaming up with the Hell Pirates. But for the sake of caution, Doflamingo ordered the order immediately and notified Beast's pirates. Anyway, Wano Kuni is relatively far away, if Hell William is not here to cause trouble. After Kaido, the Beast, arrived, these guys should have left. Yes, Dover, I'll contact them right away. Torble was also a little flustered and left in a hurry. After all, he had quietly killed one of the 7 warlords of the sea a long time ago, and had once fought against the legendary marine hero Garp, seriously injuring the Vice Admiral Garp and escaping unharmed, and even died under Marine's nose. Empty impel down the ruthless person. The bounty of up to 2.2 billion is really mind-numbing. Who knows whether he is an enemy or a friend, now? A terrifying ship coming from the sky. Have we finally arrived? William crossed his arms and looked down at the island in the distance with a circle of boulders surrounding it like a barrier. Innate observation hockey. It has already covered the island in front. In front of him, those auras of different strengths and weaknesses. Advertisement exposed. Violet on the side pursed her lips tightly. His eyes were complicated, full of expectation and a little hesitant, feeling deeply pressured. She has no worries at all about whether she can defeat the Don Quixote family. After all, no matter it is the strength of the Hell Pirates or the experience of the Don Quixote family. Violet knew it all. The two are not on the same level at all. Otherwise, Doflamingo would not be so afraid of Kaido, the great pirate. It's just that this domineering and powerful man has already said it. Once revenge is successful, regain Dressrosa's throne. She, the princess of the Riku royal family, must succeed her father, King Riku Dole III, and become the new queen of Dressrosa. Can you really do it yourself? FBX. Not far away, Luo was holding the field sword and crying. He stared at the island in front of him, with a bit of excitement on his face. Mr. Corzone, I will avenge you soon. Shiryu, I leave it to you, William said directly. Turning his head to face Shiryu and others, he said. A mere Don Quixote family, the strongest is only 7 warlords of the sea heavenly Yaksha. He's not the world's greatest swordsman like Mihawk. There is no need for him to take action personally. Otherwise, why would the Hell Pirates recruit so many people? Hey, heavenly Yaksha, Doflamingo, don't worry. Shiryu of the Rain showed a smile, full of fighting spirit. He was trying to prove his strength to the outside world through hearty victory. Otherwise, how can I increase my bounty? And Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. This opponent is obviously just right. Hey, what a rare visitor. Tall heavenly yaksha. Relying on the ability of string fruit, it pulls the clouds in the sky and continuously sweeps out of the king's heights at an astonishing speed. He was wearing purple sunglasses, a colorful shirt and cropped trousers, pointed shoes, and a flamingo-down cloak, showing off his coquettishness. Soon they arrived at the coast and stopped in front of the ground trial pirates. Looking at the leader of the Hell Pirates, William, who is too young to be ridiculous, but cannot be underestimated. First time meeting me, I am Don Quixote Doflamingo, the king of Dressrosa. I wonder why everyone from the Hell Pirates came to Dressrosa. What are you doing? However, but the words are not yet finished. Then he noticed Wei Shikai, who was following William on the ship of terror. Advertisement, Violet. You guy. Doflamingo's pupils shrank sharply, he had an ominous premonition, and he broke out in cold sweat. No wonder the Don Quixote family has been unable to find this woman's whereabouts. Unexpectedly, he was already following Hell William without knowing when. We showed up here, you should already know what's going on, right? Doflamingo. Violet clenched her pink fist tightly. Hyde-Me looked directly at Doflamingo and said loudly. Hey, Violet, I didn't expect you to join the Hell Pirates. Doflamingo's face darkened, and his heart sank. If he had known better, he should have been more ruthless and killed this woman directly. I didn't expect that he would be left with such a serious problem. Climbed the high branches of the Hell Pirates, trying to get revenge on myself. Doflamingo, you should remember me, right? Luo stood up and glared at Heavenly Yaksha, whose face was changing and uncertain, and said coldly. Are you, Luo? Luo was recognized at a glance. Doflamingo forced himself to calm down and said with a smile. Hey, I've been waiting for you to come back. The position of the 3rd generation Red Heart cadre of the Don Quixote family. But I've always kept it for you. He didn't expect that apart from Violet Gang, he was a traitor. Trafalgar Law, whom the Don Quixote family has been searching for all these years, is actually on the terror ship. Stop pretending to be a good person, I know exactly what you want to do with my op fruit ability user. Looking directly at Doflamingo, Luo's face was full of sarcasm. Immediately, some gritted their teeth and said loudly and hatefully. The condition for me to join the Hell Pirates is to kill you and avenge Mr. Corazon. Revenge for Corazon? Doflamingo's smile froze. The veins on his forehead throbbed, and his eyes darkened. Sure enough, are you like that guy, and want to betray me? My back was already soaked with cold sweat. He didn't expect that his heart was once full of darkness and madness, and his mind was filled with Luo who wanted to destroy and take revenge on the world. He was so deeply influenced by his younger brother, Corazon. He looked like he wanted to kill him immediately. And what makes Doflamingo deeply uneasy is that, 2 guys who have a grudge against themselves and want to take their heads all the time. They actually all joined the Hell Pirates, in particular, although Hell William did not speak. But the attitude is self-evident, and it is obvious that the person who came is not good. You didn't expect that, did you? Luo's face was filled with anger. Looking at Doflamingo, his eyes were full of unspeakable murderous intent, and he gritted his teeth and said, When you killed Mr. Corazon, I was hiding in the box behind him. In order to protect me, he even held on until the end. In one breath, wait until you leave. The reason why I live until now is to take revenge on Mr. Corazon. Chapter 196. Heavenly Yaksha crushed. Hey, Sir William, you don't really want to stand up for them? In midair, depending on the thin and invisible silk thread. Doflamingo, who was hanging steadily in midair, took a deep breath. He looked at the terrifying ship opposite. Although he had not spoken, the aura made him a little frightened. He could not ignore the black prison William. Trying to save the situation as much as possible, he forced a smile and said, I think there is a lot of room for cooperation between the 2 sides of us. And the Beasts Pirates have been looking for you. The Governor of Beasts heard about your arrival and rushed here as soon as possible. Foo. At the end, he pulled the tiger skin, brought up Kaido, the Beast. Hoped to use this notorious monster to shock the other party. Kaido, the Beast? William raised his eyebrows and sneered. Humph, I heard that he has been looking for my whereabouts recently. I just want to meet him. Even if it is the strongest creature on land, sea and air, so what? At this point, who is he, Obask William, afraid of? No need to struggle, Heavenly Yaksha. The next moment, in Doflamingo's horrified eyes. William's eyes, like a hawk, are so sharp that people can't look directly at them. Looking down, Doflamingo said indifferently. Whether it's your head or everything from the Don Quixote family. Our Hell Pirates want it. Doflamingo's face changed. His face was ashen, staring at the leader William, gritting his teeth and saying, Do you think you can defeat me? Sorry, I can defeat you. William showed a contemptuous smile. The next moment, Doflamingo felt a flash in front of his eyes. A terrifying figure suddenly appeared in front of him like a ghost. Do you have any objection? What? The whole person's hair stood up. The moment he retreated subconsciously, his 5 fingers became claws. But before he could attack, bang, a fierce kick. It had already kicked him hard in the abdomen. Wow. The terrifying power made him. Doflamingo's face was distorted, he spat out blood, and his eyes bulged. Advertisement. He looked at the imposing figure in disbelief, full of anger and unwillingness. He flew out like an arrow from a bow. There was a loud bang. The sky was filled with smoke and dust, in the horrified eyes of the cadres of the Don Quixote family. Doflamingo's figure was like a cannonball, slamming into the king's highland. A large area of the mountain collapsed directly. The whole person was embedded in it. Dover, young master. Witnessing this horrifying scene, the Don Quixote family members all changed their expressions and rushed to the ruins. They never expected that Doflamingo, who they thought was powerful and not afraid of even the Marine Admiral, would be crushed in an instant. BB. Islands and fleets. Gulu. Why are they flying in the air? Oh my god, what's going on? Don't worry, they must be here to cause trouble for the Don Quixote family. And the people in the town were frightened by the sudden movement. Staring blankly at the terrifying ship that crossed the coast and flew towards the king's highlands and the fleet surrounding it. They all opened their mouths wide and sweated, some were terrified. Fleeing in panic. Isis, on the king's highlands. Doflamingo, who was embedded in the mountain, had blood flowing from the corner of his mouth, and staggered out, looking embarrassed. 5 fingers pressed on his collapsed chest, and kept bending there. Lines of silk threads that were almost invisible to the naked eye flickered. Repairing his damaged internal organs, Black Prison William. The eyes under the sunglasses, staring at the terrifying ship that kept flying over and causing great panic. Advertisement looking directly at the somewhat blurry but not underestimated young figure at the head, he was filled with unspeakable fear and solemnity. This monster is so powerful. I always thought that the other party was just a kid who was less than 18 years old. Even though he was powerful, the rumors outside were somewhat exaggerated. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. I thought that if nothing unexpected happened, Black Prison William would be at most as powerful as me, or slightly better. There is still a big gap between him and the real monsters like Kaido of the Beasts. But I didn't expect that this man's strength would be so terrifying. He completely crushed me. Doflamingo has always been a very proud person. Born as a celestial dragon, he was born with noble blood. Even if he fell from the clouds, he was still worshipped by Torpal, Diamante and others because of his innate kingly qualifications, and was regarded as the young master. They firmly believed that he could become the king and lead them to glory. But that proud heart was easily shattered by a man. 0. That man was Kaido, the beast. His body was like a demon, his power was like a monster. He had no power to resist, and was easily defeated. The other party wanted to kill him, just like killing an ant. It made him feel endless fear in his heart, even though many years had passed. But every time he heard the other party's name, he subconsciously felt dread and fear, and sweated uncontrollably. Now, the pride that was already very little was completely shattered by another man. Damn. Is the gap so big? Ignoring the calls of Torpal and others. While repairing his injuries, Doflamingo gritted his teeth while feeling the pain coming from his body. He stared unwillingly at the terrifying figure on the terrifying ship that came across the sky. He clenched his fists tightly, and they were embedded in the flesh. Indistinctly, Doflamingo seemed to see the shadow of Kaido, the beast, overlapping with the other party. At the beginning, that terrible monster was just a simple blow. It crushed him with such force, it crushed all his pride. It made him tremble till now. Is this what is called genius? What kind of enviable talent and qualifications, if he, Doflamingo, had such talent and strength? Even those high-ranking guys in the world government asked him to return to the Holy Land, Marijoy. Chapter 197. Rain Shiryu vs. Doflamingo. Tisk, tisk, they're not on the same level at all. On the ship of terror, looking at the embarrassed and staggering Doflamingo in the distance, Luo couldn't help but smile. I have to say that Lord William's strength is terrifying. The majestic 7 warlords of the sea were completely unable to block a move. Mother, sister. That guy Doflamingo is going to get his comeuppance, you can finally rest in peace. Violet on the side was full of excitement. He clenched his pink fists tightly, tears welling up in his eyes. I just feel so angry. Hey, Sir William, didn't you say you would leave it to me? Shiryu of Rain said a little speechlessly. I'm sorry, that guy has a face that deserves a beating. People can't help but want to kick him when they see it. William shrugged and said with a smile, but I didn't use much force. Although he vomited a few mouthfuls of blood, he still didn't lose his fighting ability. I'll leave it to you next, 100. Suddenly, William's eyes flashed red. I seem to have foreseen something. Open black lens bracket, roar, suddenly under everyone's shocked eyes. A giant pink dragon appeared in the sky in the blink of an eye. The terrifying momentum is so violent that people can't help but shudder. The bloody mouth opened wide, embodying dazzling firelight. Blast towards the high ground of the king. In an instant, there was a loud noise and flames shot into the sky. King's Heights collapsed and the entire castle was reduced to rubble. William's eyelids twitched. He held down Lucci, who was about to transform, and said to him in Shiryu of the Rain. You too, don't be too messy. Dressrosa is Violet's country, try not to cause too much damage. Although he is not very interested in Dressrosa, he does not care about the life and death of those people at all. But considering Violet is going to be the queen of this country after all, it is better to control the scope of damage as much as possible. In fact, if it weren't for the Don Quixote family acting as a whetstone, give everyone in the Hell Pirates a good training. William took action directly. That's such a shame. Lu Chi stopped transforming, feeling helpless. He couldn't wait to show off his skills. After finally acquiring such a powerful ability, I always feel a little regretful if I don't show it in front of others. After all, his goal is to become William's right-hand man and the number 2 member of the Hell Pirates. Naturally, I don't want to be compared to Shiryu of Rain. Advertisement. Although it's a bit excessive, I'm very sorry. Please be sure not to cause too much damage or casualties, please everyone. Hear William's words. Violet realized something, broke out in a cold sweat, and was busy pleading. She had seen with her own eyes the abilities of Shiryu and Rob Lucci. How powerful they would be if they really let go of their scruples. Since we are one of our own, I'll try to be more careful. Rain Shiryu nodded. Without any more nonsense, he flew directly out and rushed towards the King's Heights. The Ghost Army and the Zombie Army will not take action, and the cadres of the Don Quixote family will be left to you. William looked directly at Luo, Kid, Wappa, Lafitte, Brooke and other members of the Hell Pirates, and said with a chuckle. We are pirates, don't be so stupid that we don't think about changes, and we have to make an order. If you choose, it's enough if you can't beat a group fight. Although the cadres of the Don Quixote family are quite powerful. But these members of the Hell Pirates are not just idlers. Although people like Luo, Kid, Wappa and others still need time to grow, they have an advantage in terms of numbers and abilities, and they will not be easily crushed. Just enough to get a good workout. Clear, that would be great. What I wish for. Why ha ha ha, my hands are itching unbearably. Everyone, come on, don't let that guy Shiryu get the first step, he can kill them all by himself. DIA. For a while, leaders of the Hell Pirates. Everyone's eyes were burning, eager to try. They each picked a zombie pterosaur and rode on it. He rushed towards the King's Heights immediately. Even Robin is in it. After training for so long, there is no shortage of actual combat. But in the end, most of them were fighting zombies and ghost soldiers. Really enter the new world and fight against these strong men. They are still looking forward to it. Impel down guard Chongami no Shiryu? On the high ground of the king, watching Shiryu of Rain flying by. Doflamingo's pupils shrank sharply as he recognized the other party. My heart couldn't help but sink. Bah, what an arrogant guy. He glanced at the young figure of the old god standing there on the terrifying ship in the distance. He couldn't help but clench his fists. Did Black Prison William think that he was not qualified at all and asked him to take action himself? While he breathed a sigh of relief, Doflamingo couldn't help but feel a little angry and felt unspeakably aggrieved. He is a majestic 7 warlords of the sea, yet he is so despised by others. I didn't expect that I'm quite famous, I'm sorry, but I want to lend you your head. Advertisement floating in midair, Shiryu of the Rain chewed his cigar and smiled. Looking down at the hostile and somewhat wary Don Quixote family. The famous sword Thunderstorm unsheathed it like lightning, and struck out violently, slash wave. Call out, a huge blazing slash, appearing out of thin air, striking out like lightning. They mercilessly attacked Doflamingo and others whose expressions changed greatly. The loud noise shook the sky, smoke and dust billowed and splashed around. One after another, figures retreated violently, narrowly dodging the terrifying blow. On the high ground of the king, a shocking huge slash mark was left. Aft. Bet. The sound of breaking through the air continued. Several threads that were as fast as bullets penetrated. Hey. Relying on the fairly strong observation Hockey's prediction. Shiryu of the Rain shook his body, easily dodged Doflamingo's attack. In the past few days, I have often competed with zombie kings such as the swordsman Ryoma and Golden Lion on the Ship of Terror, and exchanged swordsmanship experiences. He is a great swordsman in his own right, and he is quite accomplished in swordsmanship, so he took advantage of the opportunity and secretly learned a few moves. Golden Lion's signature swordsmanship, Slash Wave, is one of them. Not to mention, with the ability of 4.0 Lion Fruit, it can be used as a long-distance attack. It's really nice to be condescending and crush the target. He used it quite easily, super hit whip, at this time. Doflamingo's tall figure flashed out. The right hand extended backwards, and countless threads gathered and tore violently. Call out, there was a roaring sound in the sky, and the cold light caught people's attention. I saw that extremely sharp thread, easily cutting through the atmosphere, and suddenly cutting towards Shiryu of Rain. To cut off his entire life. Extremely cruel, little trick, flying dragon. Rain Shiryu smiled contemptuously. With no intention of dodging at all, he waved the famous sword Thunderstorm in his hand. A fiery slash turned into a lifelike flying dragon, roaring out with its teeth and claws. Colliding with that extremely sharp thread. Chapter 198 Things are different now, the Ghost's Fire Fist. Dollar file. Boom, dropping ruffian string. Above the King's Heights, 2 figures clashed fiercely. The tips of needles are facing each other, refusing to give in to each other. But Doflamingo, who has the ability of string fruit, did not gain the upper hand. Instead, he was quickly suppressed by Shiryu of the Rain with his powerful strength, and fell directly at a disadvantage. This made the cadres of the Don Quixote family change their minds. Extremely anxious. The ground rumbled. Two stone hands, even more exaggerated than those of the giants, suddenly stretched out from the ground. As if swatting a fly, he swatted at Shiryu of the Rain who was fighting Doflamingo. Tempest kick _ Landon, now, on top of a zombie pterosaur. The tall and thin figure rushed down, his right foot was like lightning, and the wolf kicked out violently. It was Lu Chi. The eye-catching crescent-shaped slash came through the air. Just like cutting tofu, he easily cut off two huge stone hands. It's frightening. That guy 24, Torble, Diamante and others' eyes widened. Looking in disbelief at the figure rushing down on the moonwalk in midair. The pupils shrank sharply. Tisk tisk, it's Lucci as expected, he's getting stronger and stronger. On top of another pterosaur, Khalifa was there marveling. She didn't expect that the Tempest kick performed by Lucci without using the fruit's ability would be so powerful. Of course, William once said that the artificial devil fruit is very special. Robin chuckled lightly and said, to a certain extent, it not only reproduces the ability of the Phantom Beast, the blue dragon form, but also perfectly integrates the bloodline factors derived from the beast, Kaido himself. As time goes by, they will subtly influence and strengthen the body of the eater all the time. Even without using the devil fruit ability, Lucci's body is already many times stronger than before. This is not William's nonsense, with the full development of one's own fruit abilities. Although Rob Lucci has become a man-made demon fruit power, it is unlikely that he will become the strongest creature on land, sea, and air like Kaido. But sooner or later, his body will gradually become that of an inhuman monster. This is the huge change brought about by the ability of the artificial Phantom Beast Devil Fruit. It can be said that Lucci has obtained the ticket to become a truly strong person, but whether he can cross the threshold of the strong world depends on whether he is amazing and hardworking enough in the future. So that's what it is. Advertisement, tisk, tisk, that's really exaggerated. Dr. Vegapunk is indeed the world's #1 genius scientist. Why hahaha, it really makes people jealous, it's not just Khalifa. Luo, Kid, Kaku, Bluno, Uruj, Lafitte and others who were riding around on pterosaurs couldn't help but suddenly realized, and couldn't help but be full of envy of Lucci. They, the members of the Hell Pirates, have naturally known about the existence of artificial devil fruit for a long time. It is also clear that what Lucci ate was the artificial fantasy beast species and dragon form ability that Dr. Vegapunk once extracted from the bloodline factor of Kaido, spending a huge amount of money and a lot of time. I just didn't expect that artificial devil fruit to have such benefits. If it were them, they would be willing, at this time. Lucci's figure has not yet landed. Go to hell. Have a funeral in half a month. Diamante's eyes were sinister and murderous. He waved his long sword and struck hard. Wah! The dazzling slash was extremely fierce. To split it in half. Moonwalk. Dia. Kaku is very fast. Stepping on the atmosphere, he ran down. The two swords at his waist were unsheathed like lightning. Boom. The staggered blades blocked the astonishing slash. A deep slash was left on the ground. Are you Rob Lucci from CP9? At the same time, Lao Ji, a cadre of the Don Quixote family, rushed up. The king of fighters G-shaped, attacks Rob Lucci, the mark of the G. Hey, let me play with you. Fire fist. A burst of fire burst out. The figure of Ghost Man Agent fell to the ground, along with the fiery breath, his right wrist turned into a flame. The giant fist of flames could not help but expand and burn, causing the atmosphere to distort. Carrying an astonishing impact, it blasted out brazenly. Unstoppable. What? It's not just Lao Ji. The Don Quixote family officials present could not help but change their colors in shock. I never expected that there would be such an ability user among the Hell Pirates. Boom boom. Fire shot into the sky. The flames were raging and the smoke was billowing. The ground collapsed and rocks flew. Advertisement. Join the Hell Pirates these days. He has the teachings of a special zombie, the swordsman Ryoma. Like Wappa, he himself is practicing unremittingly every day. The ability of Logia Mera fruit was developed to an astonishing degree under the guidance of William himself. This ghost man is no longer the person he used to be in East Blue. Damn you guy, go to hell, T. Suddenly, bullets were coming at full speed. It is Baby 5, a leader of the Don Quixote family. Weapon transformation. Hand and foot guns. She jumped up high, her hands and feet turned into guns, and kept firing at the ghost akin. A large number of bullets continuously penetrated the air and penetrated the ghost's body. A large fire was lit. 203, saw this scene. Baby 5's expression changed, and he took off the cannon on his back without hesitation and pointed it at Ajin. Without hesitation, he pulled the trigger, and several rockets shot through the air like lightning. He stormed toward the flaming figure ahead, F7. The rockets even caused violent explosions. Thick smoke billowed into the air. But not for long. A flame burst out. Ajin himself walked directly out of the smoke. The whole body was burning with clusters of flames. The whole person was unscathed. What, DX? Baby Five's attack is completely ineffective. Is this guy, like Monet, a Logia user? This horrific scene, no matter if it's Baby Five himself, Lao Ji, Torble, Snowgirl Monet and others, who were still a little embarrassed, could not help but shrink their pupils. While glaring at Ghostman Agent, he was a little shocked. Obviously, he didn't expect that the other party was actually a Logia user. And those ordinary members of the Don Quixote family who were alerted by the sudden huge movement, armed with swords, guns and other weapons, rushed over to support one after another. He couldn't help but change his color in shock and felt cold. Scalp numbness. Chapter 199. The Snowgirl who was instantly killed, Kaku vs. Diamante. Kai without warning. A head flew up. The stunning cold light directly beheaded Doflamingo. Young master. The sudden change made countless Don Quixote family officials and pirates scream in shock. Unexpectedly, Doflamingo was killed so easily. However, Shiryu of the Rain did not feel any joy, but his eyes darkened. He frowned. Be alert. Dropping ruffian string, the extremely sharp silk thread came through. However, the cold light shone around Hockey's blade and was accurately blocked. And ruthlessly cut off. At the same time, that other, Doflamingo, who was just beheaded. Suddenly he rushed forward. Super attack whip. Shuhu. Countless threads gathered together. It turned into a sharp and tough long whip and strangled him fiercely. Call out. Shiryu of Rain suddenly flew out. He dodged the long whip that swept across and caught people with cold light. Boom boom. In the distant town, a large number of buildings were ruthlessly chopped up like tofu. It's scary and chilly. Kai, woo, cross-shaped cold light. It disappeared in a blink of an eye, cross-cut. Rain's Shiryu's figure passed by like lightning. Amazing criss-cross-shaped blades appeared on the body of Doflamingo. The whole person was cut into pieces. Does the skill stop here? He didn't even look at the destroyed thread clone. Looking directly at Doflamingo, who had an ugly face across from him, Shiryu of the Rain sneered. With a sharp look, the famous sword Lei Yu in his hand suddenly swung out. Yu Luo. Det. Dist. One after another dazzling slashes. Like dense raindrops, covering the sky and the earth. He blasted away at Heavenly Yaksha who suddenly appeared behind and changed color in horror. Shield White Line. The headless, Doflaming, flew directly over and turned into a huge shield. Blocked there. The other side. A huge stone hand was ruthlessly shattered. Advertisement Rob Lucci moved quickly and avoided several extremely sharp thorns that suddenly appeared from the ground and wanted to penetrate him. Rob Lucci, you can't hurt me, God of Destruction, Pika's voice. It's so sharp that you can't help but laugh out loud. Looking at the huge stone statue emerging from the mountain, Lucci didn't say anything nonsense and kicked out like lightning. Tempest kick hyphenation point line. Dit. Fiery slash. It's like a straight line, cut out. Boom boom. The stone bust, which was about 10 meters high and as big as a giant, was split into two in an instant. But then, one after another, extremely sharp thrusts continuously penetrated from the ground and attacked Lucci fiercely. Brush. Swipe. The swift figure kept moving and dodging. He frowned and his eyes were extremely sharp. Is this the power of the stone fruit? What a slippery guy. Crossfire. D-Wang fist. Fire punch. G's seal. Not far away. Fire shot into the sky. Ghost Akin and Raoji, fierce confrontation. This cadre of the Don Quixote family, who is just in his early 60s and has not yet completely aged, seems to be much stronger than the two top cadres, Diamante and Torple. With proficiency in observation hockey and armament hockey. He was even on par with Kimito Akin, a user with Logia Mera Mera Fruit's ability. Igloo, ice and snow are flying, the cold wind is biting. A lot of wind and snow came overwhelmingly, trying to trap Nami, Badgers, Uruj, Bakesinclo and others who had just fallen off the pterosaur and landed on the ground. Wah wah gg, the dazzling electric light disappeared in a flash. All of a sudden, I was struck by the snow maiden Monet. Wappa's whole body was shining with electricity and exuding an astonishing high temperature. Don't get in the way. Cook GKG, accompanied by shrill screams. Snowgirl Monet's body was scorched black by the electricity, and she fell there. Monet. Lord Monet. How can it be? Is Lord Monet a person with Logia ability? Jorah, Torble, Shangni Oro, Peak and others all couldn't help but change their colors and cried out. And those ordinary members of the Don Quixote family who came one after another to support opened their mouths in disbelief. Advertisement the invincible Monet in their minds. He was easily killed instantly. Even if we are both Logias, there are still differences between them. Looking at the Snowgirl Monet, whose eyes turned white and were burnt black. Wappa had no expression on his face and said coldly, Tilda ice and snow will melt when encountering high temperatures. You should be the most afraid of high temperatures, right? Far away. Sparks sputter. The blades kept clashing. B. Looking at the fallen Monet from a distance. There is also Wappa, who is full of electric light and cannot be underestimated. Diamante, who was fighting with Kaku, narrowed his eyes and broke into a cold sweat. Is he also a person with Logia ability? Hey, now is not the time for you to be careless, Kaku sneered. There are great swordsmen like the swordsman Ryoma and great swordsmen like the Golden Lion. As a swordsman himself, he would naturally not miss such an opportunity to ask for advice. These days, swordsmanship has improved greatly. The cold light flashed. The two swords turned into afterimages and slashed wildly. This forced Diamante to retreat in embarrassment. He dodges hastily, tempest kick chaos, but the next moment, Kaku jumped up violently, his feet like lightning, constantly tearing apart the atmosphere. Xian Nuahao, kicking out violently. The sound of breaking through the air continued. Shocking slashes came one after another. Diamante pulled the red cloak and blocked it in front of her. I saw that the fluttering cloak actually made a sonorous sound. The slash that could directly cut through the boulder left shocking scratches on it. But it cannot be penetrated directly, it's unbelievable. Don't underestimate people. The army flag, Diamante shouted. Pressing one hand on the ground, he activated his ability to fly fruits. The surrounding ground surged like a flag fluttering in the wind. Kaku, who had just landed, was almost unsteady. Half-moon funeral. Immediately afterwards, he waved his long sword. A fiery slash struck towards Kaku. Tempest kick dragon break. Chapter 200. Everyone shows off their skills. The invisible Kamida, third update. Up. Don't let Wappa and the others steal the spotlight. You're right, we are not vegetarians either. Why ha 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 ha. At this time, Luo, Nami, Kid, Khalifa, Nako, Brook, Uruj, Lafitte, Bajis and others. They all escaped from the pterosaurs and fell from the sky to the high ground of the king. Kill them. Damn, these guys. Everyone, please give me a straight answer. The cadres of the Don Quixote family were shouting murderously. Leading a large number of ordinary members of the Don Quixote family who rushed up with guns and ammunition, holding swords, guns and other weapons, they went up to kill them. Young master, I have. As the top cadre, Torbol's face was distorted, and he gritted his teeth and roared. Kill any member of the Hell Pirates, and you can get a piece of gold from the Don Quixote family. A bounty of billions of Baileys. 100 million belly? Ha ha ha, the bounty is mine? Go. Kill them. Tilda, hearing about such a huge reward. The eyes of those minions turned red all of a sudden. One by one, they rushed forward with howls and screams like crazy. A large number of Don Quixote family pirates launched attacks with guns and cannons. BBY. 100 million belly per head, then you have to live for it. Easily dodged several incoming bullets from 907. Looking at these red-eyed Don Quixote pirates who rushed forward without fear of death, Luo couldn't help but sneer, with the palm of his left hand facing down. Room slaughterhouse. Buzz, the Op Fruit's ability was instantly activated, opening up a hemispherical area. Over a dozen ordinary members of the Don Quixote family. Field sword hyphenation point ghost cry keeps swinging and cutting. Cut those members into pieces. Ah, what happened? My body was chopped into pieces. Whose head is on my butt? Ah, where is my head? Very strangely. Not a drop of blood. There was absolutely no bloody scene as imagined. However, broken bodies and limbs were scattered everywhere, pieced together haphazardly. These pirates of the Don Quixote family were completely in human form and screamed in terror. The horrifying scene makes people's scalp numb. Thunderweather. Ignoring the hail of bullets, Nami's whole body was floating in the air. Half of his body has become elemental, and his hands are constantly releasing large amounts of cloud energy. Turned into dark clouds. Boo of lightnings and thunders. Astonishing bolts of lightning were directed at these Don Quixote family pirates who were somewhat shocked. Hit it straight down without mercy. Advertisement, awe. Magnet reflection, electric sparks shine. Kid activates magnetic fruit's ability. A large number of metal products are attracted by the magnetic force and gather together with clang, 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 clang. But the next moment, it was reflected directly at an astonishing speed. He blasted those pirates hard. Ah. Ah la la, there must be a brave man under the heavy reward. He shook his whip. Khalifa pushed up her glasses and said with a smile. There was no fear in his eyes, but instead he was full of fighting spirit and eager to try. Lion Majesty slavery. The long whip, like thorns and covered with barbs, kept flying out as if it had a sense of life. He spurred the members of the Don Quixote family mercilessly. Behave, and kill the guys from the Don Quixote family. Dig. A member of the Don Quixote family screamed there. The thrown skin was torn and bloody. Ah, I. Damn, are you being controlled? What exactly is that ability? But what is very strange is that these pirates were spurred by Khalifa. Each one's eyes were red and they were waving their swords and guns wildly. Regardless, he killed his companions. The chaos was overwhelming. Lush, lush. Surrounded by blue and silver, a large number of blue-silver grass seeds were scattered out by Nuo Kagao. Then, it continued to grow there at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into a large number of blue and silver vines. Tangled towards those members of the Don Quixote family. Yo ho ho ho, Waltz, Brook rushed forward with great speed. The staff knife carried an astonishing cold energy and swept out. One of the pirates was frozen directly, and his body was frozen there, unable to move. At the same time, Sika was struck by a sharp cold light that ruthlessly passed through his body. Fell in a pool of blood. Hey ha ha ha, it's useless. No matter how you attack, it will be ineffective. With both hands, he made strange, lucky gestures. Bartolomeo smiled strangely there, with a green barrier condensing in front of him, blocking a large number of bullets and rockets. And under his control, the huge barrier ejected directly, rushing towards the pirates. Barrier rang Niu impact. Boom boom, iron body boxing technique steel fist. Uruj swaggered and ran out. With the iron body he has mastered, his tall and strong body became as indestructible as steel. A large number of bullets fell on his body, making a clanging sound. It has to be said that his unique talent in iron body is far inferior to that of the elite agents of CP9. Especially under William's guidance, it wasn't even just using the iron body for defense. Advertisement: when able to move at high speed, iron body can also be used effectively. Perfectly integrated into the battle. Ha, ha. Bang bang. The fists were like afterimages, swung out wildly. One of the pirates screamed and was mercilessly blown away by him. Don't get carried away over there. Cadre Senor Peak suddenly rushed out of the ground like a swimmer, causing a water wave. Directly from behind, he hugged Uruj tightly, trying to give him a back throw. Roar. At this moment, a huge raptor appeared there. It opened rows of ferocious sharp teeth and bit hard. Senor's expression changed drastically and he had to let go of Uruj. Jumped into the ground immediately, sneaking into the ground. 100 tons of buys, in the sky. A bloated, tall figure fell from the sky. Holding the metal shield, he moved towards the champion, Badgers, who had transformed into a raptor at an astonishing speed, and slammed him down. Boom boom. Badgers moved quickly and narrowly avoided it. The ground cracked, raising large amounts of smoke and dust. Without any hesitation, he rushed out suddenly, cold up. But Don Quixote family leader Maha buys. Damn, these guys. Watch this scene. The top leader of the Don Quixote family, Torble, looked livid and felt intensely uneasy. Weirdly, his hair stood up inexplicably, with the not particularly powerful observation hockey. Subconscious dodge. Asterisk asterisk. Several invisible bullets came in a sudden attack. However, he was narrowly avoided by Torble, and his momentum remained unabated. He shot through several pirates of the Don Quixote family behind him, splashing a large amount of blood. They screamed and fell there. Damn, sniper, covering the bruised blood on his face. Torble was shocked and angry, and could not help feeling a little chilly. Be vigilant there. Woohoo. But the next moment, an astonishing hurricane swept over suddenly. The terrifying and ferocious figure of Beiji Crow was so fast that it was completely invisible to the naked eye. Torble had no time to dodge. KG. A shrill scream. Several invisible wind blades tore his body apart directly. Large areas of blood spattered out.